Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We are in the building. We here, man. Ready to have an outstanding show. We are excited as we usually are at this time. We got a special guest that's scheduled to join us here shortly. We've got the right hand is back in the building. It's going to be a wonderful show. We're going to ask a couple of questions. One, what generation do you claim? Are you a baby boomer? Are you from Gen X? Are you a millennial? We're going to ask what makes you special from the generation that you come from. And we asking you to throw some shade at the others. It's going to be a fun conversation. And we're going to talk about school just started, and we're all excited about seeing the children go back to school. But one group of people we never really talked that much about. Tonight, we're going to talk about them. And of course, as I mentioned, our very special guest, Garnett Boldin, local singer here in Richmond, Virginia. He has gone global all over the place. He's got a new record that's coming out. We're very excited to talk with him about that. So we got a lot to get to tonight. We're going to bring it to you, the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. It's called Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. And guess what, y'all? That's live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip. Open your ears. Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan.
at center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
You already know. Yeah, they really don't. They know how Steppin Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be part of the flagship show heard live from Newden of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out right now on Facebook Live. Peace to those folks that are checking us out right now on YouTube Live. Shout out to those people who check out our archives and who just seem to rock with us in the future. You're listening to an old show, a new show, or this show in the future. It's because y'all rock with us. We shall roll with you. We're excited because we got the usual suspects here today. It has been, a few weeks since we've all been together. And, before that, it had been a few months since we had all been together. So we're at a stage now where we're hoping to come across some level of consistency and normalcy. Obviously, next week being Labor Day, we will take our refreshment and not be here. But after that, we should be back to a normal schedule. So just wanted to put that out there now so you longtime listeners are aware. But we're here. We're ready to rock. It's time to introduce the usual suspects. And as I go around the room and introduce them, got my brother sitting across from me. He's in production mode right now. He's producing the show, but I enjoy any opportunity I can have to sit across the room from my brother John. John, how are you doing today, my friend?
Much better than most people.
There's something to be said right after that. You just gonna say that and just leave it right there?
Yeah, the world is jacked up.
Yeah.
China's in a drought. Pakistan is flooded.
Yeah.
Well, hello, John.
Ukraine getting bombed.
There's 8 billion people in the world, and I think I'm in the top. Gotta be million at least.
You think so?
Yeah.
I could dig it. There's something. There's something to be said for confidence.
I mean, when you put everything,
Shady ass Gemini.
when you put everything into a category, right?
Yeah.
Stability.
Okay.
Emotional maturity. Intellectual abilities. Genuine happiness.
So you're moving up Maslow's hierarchy here. Keep going.
Basic health. Age.
You feel like you're at the prime with your age right now?
Abilities.
Okay. Able to still do quite a bit at your advanced age?
I think exactly.
I like
I
it.
feel like this. This is how I feel. I feel like right here, right now, is the best possible combination of intellectual maturity and my ability to apply what I know real time in
Wow.
the world in a positive way.
I like, you know what I like? I like how sincere you look while you're saying that. You're looking right at me.
Yeah, but
I see the sincerity and I believe you.
But the reason I'm sincere about it is I had to think. I had to sit back and think about what's going on in the world and what people are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people who you think, people will go, you're not a millionaire, and there's at least a million millionaires in the world. Yeah, but how many of them are happy? And how many of them are healthy? And how many of them are positively productive within their own community? Right? How many of them have the admiration of their peers and enemies? Right? So a lot of them fall out of that category. So yeah, I'm good. I'm, like I said, answer to the question, I'm much better than most.
I can dig it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J.
Saying like that.
Live from Newton Legacy and that radio. Time to introduce. You hear her voice. It's a wonderful voice. It's a voice that we missed. Our sister who makes the show better just by virtue of her showing up. She ain't gotta say nothing. She just needs to show up and sit there for 2 hours and it's already better.
I love
And
you.
so I appreciate you. I missed you, and I'm so glad to have you. Yeah, absolutely, I love you right back. She is the co-host of the show, the right hand that sits on my right side, my sister and yours, Steffi.
I love an
Yay. What's up, Steffi?
Always forward.
Always
You
forward.
know.
Yeah, I crush on
Nothing
that
back there
statement.
I can deal with later. I
I,
can deal with now. I'm always forward.
I can
you
dig
know?
it. So, what you think about that stuff that he was just saying?
You
I mean, you know,
this is the look at him.
he was
Him
saying
down,
him
downstairs.
the pro, the pronouns. Yeah. Hey, look,
You know when you say
we
to your
just hit you
kids,
with the
I
pronouns.
ain't know her.
Yeah.
What's my name?
I ain't gonna lie though. I do remember when it
Being
was
said
moms
you
and
can't
pops.
say use a
And
pronoun.
if I said she to my mama,
She
she
who?
about my mama to my pops.
She who?
Oh no, who is she? Yeah. So
God.
so him.
Him over there.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
hey.
That's how you do that.
know, so-
Yeah. How you doing, baby?
Him over there to my right.
Him over there in front of me.
I appreciate the evolution of John. It's like Serena Williams.
Who?
He had to retire from his space of ornery middle-aged gentleman to highfalutin older man.
You want to get me? You want to get me to be grumpy? Talk to me about Serena Williams. Speaking of Serena Williams, since you said it, let's talk about that right quick. Shout out to Tamisha. She's saying, "Hey, you guys," and she loves Serena. I'm about to like throw a whole lot of shade at Serena.
Oh, you be careful, bro. I
am
wanna fight
that
with you.
guy. Here's why I'm that guy, right? Because we're gonna talk about Serena. Spend a few minutes talking about Serena, right? I have been a women's tennis fan since the 1980s. I remember sitting with my mama watching Chrissy Everett, Martina Navratilova, Steffi Graf. You know, oh gosh, Tracy Austin would have been a little bit before them.
Oh goodness, Tracy Austin.
Yeah, you know, and then a little bit later you got Kim Clijsters and Martina Hingis and Lindsay Davenport.
Yes.
You know, and in 1999, Serena was the first of the sisters to win a Grand Slam that year when she won the U.S. Open, same tournament that she's playing in now, which is her final, her finale to her career. Let me just say this: Serena Williams is literally, without exaggeration, one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in my life.
No,
she is one of the greatest I've ever seen in my life.
No cap.
But
I mean, there's really nothing you can say.
But I can't stand her.
What?
I can't stand her. You know why?
Sir.
Because if you're going to be a champion, a real champion
can
be a champion when you win and when you don't win.
And when do you think she's not?
And I do not like the performance, the post-match performances, which are very consistent from her whenever she's not successful. She will whine, she will fuss, she will make mean faces, she will short arm the answers, and that's not a champion to me.
And I already know that if I challenge you, you're gonna say, I didn't like it when McEnroe did it either.
I didn't like it when McEnroe did it either.
Okay, good. Well, I just want to go ahead and get that off
I
the table.
I didn't like it when McEnroe did it either. I mean,
no, because
and let me just say that's impossible.
He said it off mic, so I don't know.
Yeah. He said he's going to destroy me. You know, but before we get into any of that, we're going to table that, and we're going to talk to our very special guest who appears to be with us, and so we're excited about that. So let's go ahead and get him in. This brother, I'm so excited to be joined by, as I'm sure you guys are. He is a wonderful, wonderful singer. He's a wonderful, wonderful entertainer. He is multifaceted, multi-talented. I mean, this brother got it all going on, and he has just dropped his brand new album. It's called Find the Message. I want you guys to be as excited as I am to say peace and to say love to our brother, Mr. Garnett Boldin. What it do, homie?
Yeah, what's going on, man? It's good to see y'all once again, man. I'm honored to
Hey,
be here
man,
once
it's good
again,
to see you.
and
You here with your
actually
family, brother?
blessed to drop
You here with
another
your family?
project.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Feeling good, looking good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Actually progressing and stuff. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
what's
tell you
going on
what,
with y'all,
man.
man?
Hey, look,
Thing.
man, we just here excited to kick it with you. We had an opportunity
Hey,
earlier, during the pre-show before we went live, had a bit of an opportunity to kind of listen a little bit to a couple of these tracks. And the one that we got three of them here, right? This one, I
right?
don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear that?
Oh yeah, I can hear that.
You can hear that.
Groove
Yeah.
is playing.
All right, so you
Yeah.
clearly hear you, and we hear you. First of all,
Right.
the thing that strikes me the most about that, as it opens up, the same thing that Steph just said, the production on that is real dope. But then you
Right.
slip in with like this rasp, baritone. It's smooth, but then it's got a lot of really cool softness to it. That's you, bro. That's you. So talk
Yeah.
to us a little bit about what we're hearing right there, man. That's the song
Hey,
Improve.
man. Right. The crazy thing with the story behind it, which is great for my journey and the legacy. Actually, we ended up creating that song. Me and Dolomite, shout out to Dolomite, who is the producer of that track. We came together. I told him about the idea of me trying to do something, paying homage to the old school with jazz and all that type of stuff. And then even when you hear the bridge, how I pay homage to the old song as well, old soul song. But I really wanted to go into depth with that and soulfully have that substance in it. And of course, hitting with the falsetto. That's the perfect chance to do that in that song. But it was also about
Absolutely.
the shootings that happened. It was about the shootings that had happened, everything that was going on with the marches in Richmond and stuff too. I didn't want to force the song, and I wanted to come out naturally, real good, and true inspiration from God. And I think it flowed in that kind of way. I just didn't want to jump on the bandwagon because something was going on. I wanted to really come truly from the heart, and I think we did that with that song.
Yeah. No, I definitely appreciate that. That's dope. Talk to me a little bit about inspiration. Like, obviously, you kind of talked a little bit about it for this song specifically, but just in general, where does the inspiration for your creativity come from?
It comes from I know. Let's start from the beginning. It comes from ancestors for sure. Old soul, that was put into me. I think from the beginning. I really feel that. I think sometimes I grew up in the wrong era, but it came from my family, my mother. Definitely, who Deborah Boldin, shout out to her in the gospel field. Who always she was a minister of music who brought me around to a lot of rehearsals, choir directions. She played the piano as well. My grandmother was a minister of music as well, and it just was all in our family. Sisters, my uncles and stuff, they had a singing group. They were big in gospel as well. So it started from there, and just my mother opening my ears to new music, playing it in the car for us, Prince, Anita Baker. She did actually her own renditions of Anita Baker and recorded it as well. So I was able to hear that, and I remember playing that tape. Me and my sister playing the tape back to back. Just astounded by my mother's voice being actually recorded. So I know that made a big impact, and then seeing her sing live actually was the greatest impact for me to step on stage as well.
Hearing your mama,
So
your mama
just seeing
singing
my
live,
family perform music,
hearing your
yeah,
mama
oh yeah,
singing.
yeah. She brought people to tears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always great when it's home like that. I mean, you got it right there, in front of
right,
you. And, I've found that often the greatest amongst us with regards to, singing and being a producer and that sort of thing often comes from being around it listening to the music that your parents listened to when you was coming up. When you are in the process of actually doing your thing, who you putting on? Like which should go to kind of get you in the groove of being creative? What you gonna be listening to?
Well, I would definitely throw on one of my favorites for sure, Anderson .Paak. His earlier projects, definitely some John Legend's early project, Music Soul Child for sure. I use him as like a vocal workout and stuff sometimes when I'm rehearsing and stuff, especially his album Feel the Real. A lot of vocal movement and things that I pride myself in to be able to do vocally and stuff like that that I rehearse and practice on. But those type of feels, I would say like stuff like Jay Dilla production, boom bap mixed with soul. Anybody who's up in there, Sir, you name it. Sometimes I go back in the day, depending on if I come across it, because I'm a big YouTube person. So it suggests a lot of stuff when you're listening. So I just start diving deep into the rabbit hole and start getting some music. And plus, I produce as well, so it gets me into a whole lot of samples and things like that.
So, Garnett, one of the things that always these days that I always pay attention to is the business side of the industry. And we went from watching artists have to hustle to get a tape in front of someone or get a tape in someone's hands or find A&R somewhere at a restaurant and drop off a mixtape and things like that, to that whole independent artist era, anyone from Soulja Boy to even Drake and people like that. What are you doing to navigate or move beyond, navigate within the confines of the music industry, or move beyond them so that your brand moves forward?
For me, it's actually like marketing and promotion. Me wearing all the hats, having to wear all the hats already in my career. My manager didn't actually come on board until after the first album was complete. So I always had a mindset and for marketing and promotion, and knowing that I had to be on tip top on that level if I wanted to succeed or stand out beyond others. So have production, that chemistry was overseas from the first album into the UK. And then now it's to the point where we don't even have to wait for the album to come out. We can just tell them, hey, we got the album out, and we just send them the music. So that's a goal of mine. Another goal is definitely to there because my music is known overseas in the UK, but I just haven't touched, over there to do any shows, which that is part of the goals in the future. But for me, I'm not really competing with the people in the industry. Exactly, because they have a bigger umbrella. And that would be foolish to think that you can. You have to be realistic in your goals. The success is redefined every day. And your goal marks that you set for yourself. So me, I'm moving goal for goal, and making sure that each goal is a big one that's a big opportunity that comes with it. So I make sure I capitalize off of those opportunities. So for me, it's just not competing with those people. It's just staying in your own lane and staying true to what you do, and pushing it to the limit and using your resources that you have. The people that have been reaching out to you saying they like your music and all this stuff, who have platforms as well, build relationships with them. And that's what we've been doing over time. So I think I built the market, and this second album solidified that market that I have and the type of music that I do, because I didn't stray away from what I do. I still gave a different sound, but at the same time, it was something different.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you even talk about goals. That's relevant in any industry, whether it's how many streams I want to get, or, how many downloads I want to push, how much marketing I want to do. All of those goals are relevant. But I even like that you said staying in your lane. I think there's a lot of times where people walk away from, and we've seen it with other artists too, right? Something is popular, so they go and they try that style, or they change up. So for you, who's the average listener? Who are the people that when you look out in the audience, you visualize vibing with you the most? And who are the people you really want to tap into? What kind of authentic connection do you want to have with your audience?
Well, are we talking about like demographic far as like age limit, or like you mean like more hipsters or something
Any
like
of
that?
that.
Like
Who
what
are
you
the
mean?
people that when you're looking out in the audience, who comes out to see you, and who do you think, while music is for everybody, that's why there's a business with the demographics. There's always a certain crowd that shows up. What's the crowd that
Right.
shows up to you, and why do you think they show up?
Well, definitely, we already know the younger kids can't come out because of the spots we perform in. But they are younger people. Actually, just the other day, my cousin hit me up, and his daughter actually listened to my song and liked it, and she was asking who it was. He was like, "That's your cousin." And she was like, "What? How was he streaming?" And asking all these questions, but actually loved the song without knowing who I was. You know what I mean? And that shows like the demographic. I would say the reach from that young to people who are old, who it resonates with, as far as the music that I make. That's how you know that is what I kept calling it and stuff is God inspired. I don't write music without it being inspired in some way by life and some type of realness. You know what I mean? I can't make anything that's just R&B or for a commercial hit or anything like that. So yeah. I think the demographic of people who come for sure though is between the ages of, I would say let's say 22 to on up to 50 something, 60 something year old people, who vibing in the building, even from when I've opened up for artists, Chrisette Michelle Stokely, Dave Hollister. When I do Dave Hollister was the latest one, but a lot of people probably in the building didn't even know who I was until I stepped on stage and opened my mouth, and then it's a whole vibe. You know what I mean? But you start winning people over, and that demographic you start to see when you're on stage, the people who are vibing with you. So it just that's a different type of thing. That energy too, which is something I've grown. I've been loving, but that's a great love to see the people's faces and the crowd and who's vibing with you. So yeah, that lets you know for sure that if you got something.
Well, I'll say one thing, but you definitely have something. You have a sound. I don't pass out compliments. Yeah. I don't pass out compliments willy nilly. Also, as a musician, I'm a musician, songwriter. You definitely.
I remember you. You real about me.
Yeah. You definitely have a niche.
Yeah.
You definitely are in your craft, And I just want to say something. You mentioned something earlier about paying homage to old school. I want to try to walk back that whole old school thing because it's just music. We got 12 notes and 11 octaves, and that's all we got. And you got music or you got noise. So just because something is different and noisy, don't make it new. And just because something sounds good and makes you feel good inside doesn't make it old, right? So
that's not what I mean to try to.
No, I know.
Say
I
like
mean,
is
I know your meaning, right?
Old and
you paying homage to a structure, to a feel, to a genuine kind of music that gave you a feeling, right? Soul music or traditional R&B music that carried over. What I'm saying is people have a tendency to try to walk away from that because of a lack of talent or a lack of creativity. So they're going to say simplification is the new school, or as opposed to paying homage like you do with some melodies and some different changes and different little riffs in there that remind you of stuff. They just straight steal, So when it's one of those two things, it's not the same thing, right? And again, I noticed I would say in the early 2000s, maybe even in the 90s, in the late 90s, recording music that was selling as R&B became very empty, right? You had maybe a drum track, maybe a bass line and one instrument. There was no pad. There was no chords. There was nothing. Person was singing, half the time, talking halfway through it. there was a rap verse. You know, all of these things went on, and it wasn't really music for music's sake. It was sound, you know. And I really appreciate you bringing your musicianship and everything into what you're doing. And I think everybody's better for having your product available. And I want to thank you personally.
That's high
I
praise coming
really
from this
appreciate
guy, Garnett. What you got, man? Coming from this guy?
I already know, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, man. We put our soul in that, man. Shout out to Dolomite once again and Tim White, who y'all know I worked with on my last project and stuff. The chemistry that we built was phenomenal as far as producer, artist wise. And then they were able to show me some things with production, where Dolomite really. And I'm actually in my home studio right now. And it's been a process and stuff as far as me doing that too now, because I'm going to be more so doing a lot more production for myself as well, and recording and it's things like that. But I'm still gonna be branching out, working with different artists. I actually have production and everything already, ideas for the next project as well. But I want to make sure that I concentrate and give this project 100% for sure, because it's worth it. And we haven't gotten any bad reviews, not any that's been said to me, you know, or heard anybody. So yeah.
I want to ask you a question, but I want to lead the question with your next song. All right. So listen to what I'm about to play.
Okay.
I'm not gonna play all of it just for the, obviously for time, reasons. But I got a reason why I'm going to play this. I want you to hear a piece of what I'm about to play, and I'm going to lead into the question that I'm about to ask. And so you can hear that. That's your song.
Right.
What song is that?
Yeah.
What song is that?
That's Improve. That's Improve.
Okay. That's Improve. Now, one of the things that I liked about Improve is right in the middle of it, you just break out into what almost kind of feels like a freestyle, but it ain't. Like, it's like, it's part of the song, but like you singing and then you get, you go into it. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Right.
Actually, that's not the one that I meant to play. This is the one I meant to play. And like, that's the one.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. I was like, that was the song we just played.
No.
Right.
We just played Improve. That's me.
Go with the flow.
Yeah. We just played Improve. It's Enlighten. Yeah. Enlighten is the one with the rap in the middle. So talk to me about Enlighten.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it is. And just a little technical, glitch here that caused me to play the wrong track. But Enlighten with the rap in the middle, which as we were talking to you about your style and how it's kind of a throwback and all that kind of stuff, but you made sure on this song to remind the listener that you can pretty much do everything with a track, and you prove it here. So talk to us a little bit about that.
The crazy thing is too, when you talk about the rap, that's what I started doing first. I mean, I was singing first, of course, in church, but when I started recording, I was making rap music first. And I made a whole mixtape project when I was 17, 18. I got shout outs as far as my brothers, man, who passed away. Shout out to Terry Jackson. His name was went by Rizzo, Shock Squad. And that was a big brother to me when I was a teenager, 15, 16 years old. And then stayed with him to eventually record my first project. But rapping was the first thing that I was doing. And I was actually really good at it, Brought out the mixtape, actually had people distributing it for me in the neighborhood and stuff. And we were getting all kinds of good feedback. So, but on that project,
you got the hood selling the mixtapes, man. You got the hood selling the mixtapes.
Yeah, I come up from the old school way of it, man. We was hand to hand, man. You know what I'm saying? Just going to get them Walmart CDs. So, when we were making that mixtape is when I found out that I could sing actually on recording, because I didn't like my voice when I was younger. But when I got on one song in particular and actually started harmonizing on the hook, and it just sent me over like, I could possibly do this. And that's when I really started getting on my job with trying to write singing music. And I know that at that time I had already been influenced by music, Soul Child, D'Angelo, you know, Jill Scott, you know, the Erykah Badu's and stuff like that, that era of soul around that time. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. I knew that sound was something I needed to be around. So I started seeking that. And man, when I started, it's very hard for an artist. Like Drake does it effortlessly, but it takes time for a singer. Well, Drake's not really a singer, but he does put it in there. But how he does it effortlessly, seamlessly in the song is not as hard, easy as people think. So I wanted to make sure that I incorporated it and did it really smooth in a way when it came across. And then lyrics, I'm big on lyrics in the way and being lyrical. So I made sure that I put my foot in that. When it came to that, I was like, man, I can rap with y'all, maybe better. You know what I mean? And I got something that I'm gonna do too that's coming out. And plus sing, you know, I mean, I can be my own feature. You know, that's what a lot of people be saying pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it's the truth though. Like, you know, so
how does that make you feel when they say that to you? How does that make you feel? Honestly, be honest. It's just us talking.
Oh yeah. Hey, I feel great, but because I mean, at the same time, my whole mindset of how I create in my lyrics, and you can hear it in my music, is to not be corny. You know, I want lyrics to flow effortlessly and to make a great song. So, you know, I've worked on that for a long time. A lot of people have been working on it for a long time too, but they just ain't get it. It ain't clicking their mind, the craft of it, or how you got to put words together and stuff. I remember my mother even saying too, she was just like, I just be listening to you. Like, how do you even connect those words like that and just make a story and stuff and just, you know, how it comes out. So yeah, I know, man, shoot. I'm ready to give it to her, man.
Yeah, somebody who does that transition like that really smooth is Childish Gambino. Like I've seen him perform and go right mid melody into a rap and back into the melody within the rap so smooth. And that type of vibe is what you're given, which is an extraordinary level of talent. So appreciate yourself, because we appreciate what you're doing.
And you know how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. We're talking to our brother, and he is our brother, Garnett Boldin. He just put out the new album, Find the Message, and we playing a couple of tracks from it. We just played Improve twice because I screwed it up, but we played Improve. We played but the next track and the last track that I want to play a little piece of that I'd like for you to kind of comment on is this one right here. Talk to us a little bit about what you hear.
Okay.
Falling.
That's patient right there.
Yeah.
That's all crazy. I love that record, man. Love that record, Joe. And then voice shout out to Teresa Cook. We got her on there. Yeah.
Say again now.
I said shout out to Teresa Cook. You know what I mean? I said shout out to Teresa Cook. That's the girls.
Shout out to Teresa.
Talk to her about patience. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Teresa Cook. You
patience.
Really give her some love. So shout out to her. Thank you.
Oh no, I thought you couldn't hear me. No. I could. Yeah, but
yeah, it's a little bit of a delay, but I got you. So talk to us about patience.
All right. So with patience, man, that was a record where I felt like I like the nuances of new love and stuff like that, because I feel like there's a lot of things in a lot of different situations where love, or I mean lust, whatever you want to call it, falls into place in those new situations. So I feel like it's real fun to write about. So for that one, you know, with talking about falling for a love I don't know, you know, calling Mars telling me, so if we don't put our all in, then we stalling, no go. But we got this crazy bond. So this pretty much talking about, you know, wondering if this person could be that one and stuff like that, a new person, you really feeling them, you know, is that type of situation. But then you still, you know, she's questioning it at the same time, because if you hear it said in the hook, she said we should take our time and stuff like that. And even with losing control, we know that too. You got to take your time, but sometimes if you lose control, it could be the greatest thing that you ever had. So, you know, telling her all the ways that I want her in the song and stuff like that. Her response, you know, with her voice and stuff like that, it just went off real perfect as a dope hip hop, you know, type of moment, hip hop and soul type of moment. So I think Patience was really dope.
Let me give you some comments from your fans. Your fans are listening. Kathleen says, so important. We truly understand the back end of our industry. Most successful people are also constantly seeking to learn. Let's see. Sty Lynch is checking this out. Peace to you. He says, definitely a true artist. Very solid album. True R&B at its best. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, you know, those are your, you know, your fans and your listeners. Let's see. Tamisha says it definitely has a blues jazz feel. Oh my God, that voice is amazing. So yeah, you get some love here, bro. And I'm definitely I'm here for it. I'm glad that you get the love because you deserve the love. You deserve it. You know you deserve it, right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I gotta tell myself that every day, though, man. It's hard every day, and I want people to understand it because people say you gotta tell yourself that, and it's hard sometimes from past traumas, all that stuff like that, to know that you deserve something. So we're working towards it, and me now being older, understanding the work I put in, looking at my resume in the past. Now I'm telling myself that, you know, finally from the work I put in. So yes, man, you know, I'm trying to accept compliments more versus trying to push it away. But sometimes you gotta use that for your, you know.
Well, here's a jewel that I'll give you if you allow me. Always understand your own greatness. You know, we, especially those of us who are in the kind of businesses where we seek other people's, you know, we don't want to say we seek approval because we don't like how that sounds. But the reality is, as a talk show host and as a musician, we're seeking people to join in our craft.
Right.
So when they tell us that they enjoy our craft, we have to receive that. And it's hard because in our normal everyday lives, we are taught that we can't be receptive. We're taught to be of service. We're taught to always give. And so when we receive, it feels weird, you know, but the truth of the matter is, and I know you know this, I don't know if you're going to admit it. It's okay if you don't. But when you listen, when you listen to Garnett Boldin, you know that joint's dope. You know it is. You know it's dope. You know that you enjoy that song or that album, or you know you enjoy the performance. And so if you enjoy it, then you got to know that we do. And so when we tell you, yo, that's dope, you got to receive that joint and feel that strength. And I know you do. I know you do. I wanted to share that gift with you just kind of as a man to another man, as a brother to another brother. You, my brother, are dope as hell. You just are. You know, and the first track that I put on, maybe that's the reason why I put it on, you know, twice, you know, by accident, because Improve is, you know, I like all three, but Improve was the one for me. That was the one for me. You know, so I you know, I enjoyed them all, but that was one for me. And you know, everybody's gonna have their own favorites, you know, but ultimately you're the source of the favorites. So understand that, and I appreciate you so much. Here's what I like for you to do now, my brother. Talk to us about how people can find you. I know that you're going to be likely performing sometime soon, so this is where I would like for you to get the list. Absolutely, please jump in. It's your time.
Okay. I wanted to say something about that too. Even with the accepting compliments, like I do accept them and stuff like that. But there was you know, I'm a big person on hating braggadocious type of stuff, you know, being over the top of somebody, just, you know, believing in their own hype and stuff like that. So one of the things that I ask for, and I always tell this story because it's important for people to, you know, pray earnest prayers and ask for the right things. But in the beginning, I knew I didn't ask for anything greedy, but I asked for God to keep me humble and don't give it to me until I'm ready. You know what I mean? So those were two things that I had, and that's why I move in that. Yeah. So I move in that energy all the time with you know, he blessed me with something, but I'm not above nobody. You know what I mean? So to the utmost on that, you know, I just try to make sure that I you know, show the gift that he gave me and stuff like that, and I'm just trying to progress and stuff and just still simply be me, find me in this world like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Listen, I would never ever diminish. You said a lot of words today that all matter, but when you said that, please don't give it to me before I'm ready. That's a lot. You know, a lot of times people you've seen it. It doesn't just have to be the music industry. You've seen people be given more than they're prepared to work with. You've seen it, you know, it could be something as simple as lottery winnings. It can be something as significant as a draft into the NFL or NBA and they fall off, you know, and you don't want a Johnny Manziel your life, you know, you get all these things and you don't know what to do with it. So I love that you're saying that because you know, it means that whatever opportunity you're going to get or that you do get, you're going to work hard to really make it come into something and be about something.
Right. And then my music at the same time is about, you know, something of substance to keep bringing into the world, because we have enough of the other stuff and the confusion. And this is truly my plight and something that's conviction in my soul that I have to do. You know what I mean? It's like one of my life's missions. And the fact that it's succeeding the way it is, God gave me a promise as well, beyond what I prayed for. And I guess it's because of that prayer. And you know, give that to y'all exclusively too. It was writing on the mirror what God told me. Or it may have been from an angel, whoever, but it said, God has heard you. He has given his go. And from there, I just kept reading it over and over, and just to make sure. And from that point on, as I kept just putting my one foot forward towards the next thing, the next project, not letting anything in life deter me, even though I had a lot of things to hit me. God ordered those steps and kept his promise with a lot of stuff in it. And he's making things happen for me. You know what I mean? Making the way for sure.
I definitely dig that. Let me give you some more love from your fans. Kathleen said, R&B is not dead. I'm a new fan. Thank you. Be true to yourself and do not change for anyone. That's the jewel that she wanted to leave with you. Shout out to Vintage A. Vintage A says, is that the soul of Richmond? ? Exclamation point. Peace, legacy. So he is saying, Vintage A is saying peace to us and peace to you, brother. Got a lot of love here, man.
I appreciate it. That's one of my old names right there too, man.
That's who?
Yeah, they used to call me. That's one of my old names in Richmond that they used to call me when I was on the come up with doing, like, you know, I used to hustle real hard and doing shows.
Yeah.
And they used to call me the soul of Richmond, the big ticket, boy, you know, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I had a few names going on from a lot of stuff. Like, so Soul of Richmond, I know that's somebody who known me, you know, for a minute doing music for sure, man. Shout out to them, man. All the love.
That's what love is all about, you know, just knowing, you know, the craft, knowing the artist, following the artist, growing as a fan with the artist and being there with them throughout. You know, that means something. Big salute, Vintage A says, you know, that means something. It means something to me. Ain't no have Step Marcus stay live from New Den Legacy and that radio. As we move towards a close, Garnett, I want you to tell us how we can find you, see you, be with you, enjoy you, share the craft with you. This is where you tell us about any appearances that you have scheduled that you know of that you can share. This is how you can tell us about how we can get a hold of the new album, Find the Message, which is out. Of course, anything that you want to share, how we can rock with you, tell us.
Okay. So I'll end it with where y'all can find me at first, but I'll tell you what I have going on up next. We got a busy September as well. So on the 10th of September, we will be, shout out to Doug Evans and the Soul Logistics Radio. We'll be at the old Civic Center doing the Fresh Festival, the 5th annual Fresh Festival. That's going to be Monifa, the EU band, and as well as Grand Pooba. So I'll be doing that event as well. Shout out to him, man, for real, mad love on that. After the 10th, we will be doing the 19th. We will be doing another radio interview with B Sounds on 101.1 The Fam. Shout out to them as well and VA Tech. After that, I will be headed to New York And I'll be doing a women's empowerment event. Shout out to Julie Norals, who has First Dime Productions, and we'll be in Amsterdam, New York doing that event. And then my birthday's on the 25th, so I'll be in New York for my birthday, actually performing on the day before my birthday. And then I'll be back on the 26th, back in Richmond, and I'll be doing Radio B and Friends at the Soul Restaurant as well, Perform and Improve, actually. So if y'all want to hear that, come out to that as well once we get back from New York. So bunch of things coming. I got interviews and stuff that we're trying to get scheduled and stuff. God has really been blessing me. I'm really, humbled, and I'm thankful for real and grateful. My producers, man, Tim White and Dolomite, we did it again. This is something that was hard worked on during the pandemic and stuff like that. A lot of patience went into this too as well. And not only that, through that, I was able to get 100% of my masters. So making a smart move in that aspect and keeping my work and, able to move forward, self-distribute. And like we sold out of the physical copies as well. And, stuff just been moving. So those are things I have going on. We got stuff that's definitely going to be added on, of course, that's coming. And where y'all can find me at, of course, everything is Garnett Boldin, GarnettBoldin. And for Instagram, it's Garnett Boldin Music. It's just Garnett Boldin Music, no underscore. So y'all come and check me out. Find the message. The new album is out. And if you're just finding out about me too, go back and listen to Know Your Soul as well. And then catch up with Find the Message. But we on that second album. I'm super proud. This one for Richmond. And it's been going crazy right now, for real.
Yeah, man. How can they find it? Which platforms can they find the records?
Well, we know with sub-distribution, you can find it everywhere, but we'll name them all: Apple Music, iTunes, Tidal. You can get it on Shazam. You can get it on over. So
right towards the end,
get paid.
All of the
platforms,
all of the places.
Okay.
All of the places.
All of the places, but of course, Apple Music, iTunes, Tidal, Shazam, YouTube, Spotify, Reverb Nation, you name it, man. Where the music is at, you can go listen to it. It's all there. And like I said on YouTube, make sure y'all look at them adverts because we get paid for that too. So all that counts. You know what I mean? But like people say, handling your business and different aspects of stuff, it really matters. So I had people in my corner who gave me some advice, and I had to seek the knowledge because people weren't giving it to us out here. So I went and seek the knowledge and did it to the best of my ability, and I think it's working for us. Garnett Boldin, man, y'all check me out. Garnett Boldin Music.
Yeah. Ain't No How Steppin with Marcus J, which is live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. We're very happy. We're very proud to have had the artist, singer, producer, entertainer who just dropped the new record, Find the Music. Our brother, Garnett Boldin. Find the message. Find the message. Find the message. My brother, my apologies. Find the message. Garnett Boldin, your talent is ahead of your time, brother. You got a gift. Wow. When we hear your voice, it's identifiable. We know it's you. It's wonderful. It's great. We love you, man. And whenever you got something going on, this is your first time you've been on this show. You've been with us in the past. This is your home. So if you got something else going on, please make sure you let us know so that we can get you on here and we can get the folks to enjoy you. As you can see, they're listening to you tonight, and they're checking in and they loving you, and we do too. So thank you, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for rocking with us here.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you.
I really appreciate y'all, man. Much love. Legacy Internet Radio. Let's go, man.
I actually have one more question for you. I meant to ask you to lead it off. Okay. But I think this would be the perfect question to end our time with you tonight. Okay, you ready for it? You ready for the question?
Okay.
All right. Today is
August. Oh Lord, he probably did like that.
Yeah, today is August 29th. Today,
Yeah.
if we still had him, would be the 64th birthday of one Michael Joseph Jackson. Give me anything you got. Anything you got on Michael Jackson.
You mean like a fact or like anything I know about him?
Any feeling that you might have
Your
with
feelings.
any feeling that you might have
Oh,
of him as an artist, as an influence, as we pay homage to him on his what would have been his birthday today. And I meant to ask you this earlier, but since I still have you, I'll just real quick tell me anything you got on Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah. I thought he was man, you can't even just say a superstar or something like that. He was just a different being. You know what I mean? From the hard work that he put in, the fandom over the man was incredible. And then the music that he was able to put out, especially early in his career, which we know most of us, that's some of our favorite pieces, Off the Wall and all that. But yeah, this guy was definitely something, influence, a whole, icon for sure, man. He made an impact on everybody, I think, in some kind of way, and musically for me, he was definitely in my life when I was younger too. There's a lot of Michael Jackson and videos and stuff like that, stopping to watch the videos. Thriller for me definitely was dope, and me seeing that when I was young, I was scared of it. And that'll always be in my memory for sure.
My brother. Sorry I didn't ask you that earlier.
This?
Yeah, sorry I didn't ask you earlier, man. But thank you again for your time. My apologies for a couple of those snafus, but please charge it to my head and not my heart. So thank you, brother. We love you, man. And we got a lot of pride.
It's all good. We love you, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of pride knowing you and watching you and seeing you. And just know, not only do you have family here, but you got fans here too, bro. So keep doing what you're doing, and don't you dare ever stop. You dig?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, my brother.
I definitely won't, man. Shout out to my manager, Kevin Green. Yes, sir. Y'all be safe.
Be cool, brother. Have Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Steph B, that was Garnett Boldin, man. How we do? Did we do good, John? We do good? Yeah. I enjoy the brother, man. And
got a nice sound.
The sound is great. His voice is awesome. It's versatile. And we in the interest of time, we couldn't play the full songs.
Yeah.
And for those folks who are watching and listening, you got the snippets.
He's on Apple Music. I went and listened earlier when you
when I sent it out. Yeah. So go listen to it. Don't just listen, like purchase, like spend money, support the brother, put some money in the till. Let's see. James is checking in. He says, one love from hip hop forum culture. Shout out to James, and we appreciate you. So as I very cornyly say at this stage of the show, let us move on. Hashtag with Marcus J. All right, so when we left off, John was going to destroy me with regards to
John's drink is destroying me. So
is it really?
Yeah, I gotta stop sipping.
That's not mine. Hold on.
John's drink that he made.
That is your drink.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, let me put this drink down.
Yeah. So I was talking about Serena Williams, and just to kind of recap it, Serena Williams has announced her retirement, and she is playing her final tournament as we speak at the United States Open, which is always held in Queens, New York.
Tied up 2-2.
It's 2-2 in the first set, 15-15. As some folks may be able to see over my shoulder, I have it on the screen here, and I got plenty of love, but an equal amount of shade for Serena Williams. It's a love-hate thing with me, and she doesn't know, because I promise you she don't care what I think,
and should not.
And she shouldn't care what I think. Like I don't care what my detractors think either, and I wouldn't necessarily call myself a detractor.
Say, are you really a detractor?
I'm not a detractor, because I love women's tennis. And let me just say this before John destroys me. I love women's tennis. I said that
Y'all
earlier with regards. I just like picking on John.
You
He
two are a
knows.
mess
He knows I
today.
like picking on him, man.
I already know what's coming the rest of the
He's one
night.
of the favorite people I ever met in my life. I love this man, but as
John likes to put on boxing gloves. So you're not messing with
I
him.
learned as little boys, when we like you, we pick on you. That's just what
That's
it
what
is.
they say. I don't like that
and I like him,
statement,
so
but
I pick on him. Yeah, we're not going to teach each other how to be domestic violence people. We're not going to do that. But
We're not gonna
you
do
understand.
that.
You understand the joke and the analogy. But anyway,
Yes, I do.
I get Serena Williams. When she won, she was 17. Was 17-year-old. Black,
Phenom.
female black woman, and she was great. And her dad, we had already seen Venus. And her dad always said that Serena was the best one. So
Offset in the crowd.
none of us was ever surprised by her greatness, but I was always put aside by the lack of grace that I would see from the GOAT, because that's what she is. She's the GOAT in her sport.
Yeah.
And I always would be struck by the lack of grace and defeat. So go ahead and you guys, talk to me about this.
Because I may not have anything to say when you go. If you feel this is destroy level, you may pull in some of my points.
Get me, man.
We'll save the people double talk.
23 majors, right?
Yes.
I don't know how many wins overall.
Listen, I'll do the research. I'll Angela Yee this for you.
Please. Well, 23 majors. That's enough, right? Enough said. Undefeated doubles champ. Undefeated. She's never lost.
Excuse me.
Doubles with her sister.
420 matches in Grand Slam tournaments and won 365.
Before we go further, we couldn't do this before. I'm gonna let you finish your point. I'm gonna just Kanye you. I'm gonna let you finish your point.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish. But our GOAT has checked in.
Hey.
Our GOAT checked in while we had the guest on, and I don't like to cut the guest off for that. And so while we paid homage to Garnett and how we're about to pay homage and throw an equal amount of shade to Serena Williams, this person we ain't never gonna throw no shade to, because she is our GOAT. She is our favorite listener, and we will greet her as we do every single week by saying,
"Good morning, Sue."
Yeah, and she says that's the way it's done, John. Nothing like a good beverage.
You're right, Sue.
Yeah. So sorry about that, John. My apologies. Go ahead and finish your point, bro.
No problem. So 23 majors, 365 wins. Undefeated doubles champion. Okay. And admitted by you, so the GOAT, right?
She's the GOAT.
She's
the GOAT.
Do you feel that you are able, with maybe the assist of current media and the movie King Richard, take an assessment of what she was put through as a human being, as a Black woman, to achieve what she achieved?
I don't factor any of that in my opinion.
Okay.
Hard stop.
Okay. Well, what I say to that is, that's the only way I can have an opinion about someone, is to factor in what it took for them to do what they did. And based on what it took for her to do what she did, she's got about 3 dozen more times to not be gracious. Because whatever
she can be gracious when she wins, though, right?
No, but listen, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
No, not even a little bit.
It does a lot to me.
The reason it doesn't matter to me.
That's the difference.
No, but here's the difference.
It matters to me.
Because here's why it matters to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And why I feel it should matter to everyone.
Doesn't matter to me.
Because whenever you offer a critique of someone with her accomplishments, right, who had to endure what she did to accomplish that, you then belittle that person. And it, not from you because I know you, but it reeks of bitter hate and envy. Because, come on, nobody is going to be on every time, nobody's going to be.
Every time she wins, she's on.
Nobody's going
But
to
no.
be.
Every time she wins,
listen,
she's on.
Guess what?
So when she don't win, she's not on.
But guess what?
I don't disagree
Winning.
with- I don't agree
Wait,
with
hold on,
that.
hold on. Let me fix that. Winning is on the Chinese food combination menu, right? That means it comes with graces. It just comes with it.
I'm glad you.
It's
cleaned
like
that
the
up quick,
soda.
'cause I was like, what
It's like the
hell is that
soda.
going?
It's the soda and the egg roll and the pork fried rice. That comes with it,
Yes.
right? Now you asking for those extras that come with winning to be added on to a different meal. And when it does, when the times that it does, as opposed to saying thank you, because I know this doesn't come with this meal, I appreciate it. As opposed to doing that, you point out the times when they didn't give it to you with that meal. Right? She don't need to give it to you in the loss.
Let me
right?
be,
because it's automatic on the win.
Yeah.
So when you put the two against each other, it's an unfair play, right? Grace is automatic on the win.
Yeah.
Right. So now you
don't have to do it.
Now
It
asking for an extra on the loss. And guess what? She was gracious far more times than she wasn't in loss.
Okay. I got you.
So
Still unmoved.
For her to be gracious every single time is an unfair request.
But
it's an unreasonable request.
There's plenty of
This
time.
newer tenor, John, is very interesting.
It is an unreasonable request for that black woman who did everything that she did for anyone to say every single time she loses, she needs to be graceful with it.
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes she's not feeling graceful because you know what? I can probably go back and find a lot of times where she didn't lose, where she was robbed.
I have never.
I can go back and find quite a few times where they was yelling things from the side, disrupting her game, causing her to lose. So there's no grace to be found in that. They just had a girl the other day playing volleyball.
Are we gonna talk about
right?
We're gonna hold that. We're gonna talk about that.
Okay, we're gonna talk. But I'm saying,
we're gonna talk about that.
The idea that comes along. Oh well, it just comes along with it. She just has to deal with it and still be graceful and great.
Yeah.
No,
I hear you,
bro.
I hear
that
you.
woman is entitled
to.
That woman is entitled to a little bit of attitude and a little bit of go fuck yourself, everybody. At times, I still say we owe her a few more.
I would agree. I would agree with you if the attitude was consistent across. But I let you talk. But it's my turn.
I addressed it. You bringing up something I already addressed.
But you stopped me before I even got.
But you bringing up something I addressed.
Stopped me.
Go ahead. But
before I got to get into it.
Go ahead.
She
consistent. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Before the wonderful Steph B drops.
Yeah.
I just wanted to break that up.
No, I mean, I got you on all that. I got you on everything you said.
Okay.
What you said is well received. What you said is accurate. And what you said is what I would expect most folks who are either borderline fans of hers or maybe observants who maybe don't pay that much attention to it.
I'm not, but that's okay.
But I am someone who followed the sport prior to her getting there. I am also someone who lives with 2 black women, and I love black women, and I'm a champion for black women. So that argument, while I understand it, doesn't fly with me, mostly because there is a very clear and distinct difference in her decorum when she wins versus when she loses. My deal with her has always been the lack of grace when she loses, because they heckle her the same regardless of whether she wins or she doesn't. And there's a big difference between going up there and answering questions and going up there and being a sore loser. Because a lot of times when we get the attitude, and the attitude that I'm speaking of, it's not attitude because she's upset with the fans that might have called her the N-word. I can dig how that would throw you off your game. And I can also dig how great you must be on those times that you win in spite of that. But for me, just for me, she grew up in the same house with her sister, and I never seen that kind of behavior come from Venus.
Different personality.
I got you, and that's fair, absolutely fair. But my heat with her is my heat with her. It ain't got nothing to do with the logic and the well thought argument that John just put out. You make a good argument. It doesn't fly with me.
But hold on. How many matches you said? Not wins. 365 wins. How many matches? 500 what?
495, I think it was.
495. So that's more than 100 losses, right? That's like 140 losses.
Okay.
And she doesn't act up
Right.
every time.
And this is what I'm trying to say.
Of course not.
Out
Of course,
of 100,
of course she does.
Out of 140,
we're not going to play.
That.
But
Yeah,
but let me explain. But this
Okay.
bears explanation.
Okay, go ahead.
Out of 100, you said because of her consistency in her attitude. No, her consistency is graceful losing. It is rare that she has an attitude when she lost, because she lost over 140 times.
Okay.
Right? And it's a far lesser number of her being not graceful than she was graceful. So added into all of these things, and a couple of them happened after she had 2 babies. So let's just move them out the way. One baby that had a baby.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Listen.
Her baby's like 5. No.
Right.
Okay,
So
hold on.
she has had an attitude that you didn't like since then.
She's always been this way.
She hasn't, because again, out of 140 losses, you're not giving me 70 times.
Let me ask you this. Are you a fan of women's tennis, and have you watched consistently over the last 30 years? Like I have. I have.
Try 45.
Okay, like 45 years.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So you mean to tell me that you think I'm tripping with regards to, let's pull out all of the stuff that you laid out. I can dig it because I'm giving you all those things. You got no problem with a person that won and was smiling and happy and great, and lost, and you can't get a word out of her?
I don't feel bad about
Here's
that.
what I
Can I speak on that?
Well,
I'm gonna just that one last thing.
I'm gonna stop, and Steph will
Last
speak.
thing. Here's why I don't have a problem with it. Again, she's gracious far more times than she isn't. And we have no idea. We can only imagine the mental, emotional, and even physical issues that she was suffering as they manifest itself in a way that you don't like. Right? And what I'm saying is, you have a right not to like it. Right? That is your personal thing. But I don't take it further as a true critique of her as an athlete or as a person within sports, because her other this is like the 365 wins against the 140 something losses. This is why she's the GOAT. So she was gracious far more times than she was not gracious in losing. Therefore, here goes the problem. We don't get to see the other players as much as we get to see her. So we don't know how ungracious they are.
Jump in.
We don't know.
Yeah, jump in, Steph.
I mean, yes, to a ton of that. Yes. Sorry, Marcus. No.
No, it's good.
I will make this even simpler, because people don't like to be honest about things like this. But I get to win any way I want to win. And I get to lose any way I want to lose, is really what this all boils down to for me. If I want to lose and be an asshole, I get to lose and be an asshole. If I want to win and be like, I don't feel like giving courtside commentary afterward, I get to do that. Now, how people receive it certainly has impact. It certainly has impact. It has, people will reflect on it in different ways. But people going either way. She could win every time and be graceful, which, by the way, is subjective. What someone considers gracious and is a subjective thing, right? It's, it's kind of like watching Black people in polite society back in the day, right? That's very subjective. Who determined polite society? The people with the hoses who were spitting on little kids, and they were politely dressed and politely expecting you to follow the law of the land, or the people who were breaking that and politely walking quietly into the school regardless, or politely, quietly sitting at this counter regardless. Grace is one of those things that runs the spectrum of how we perceive things. I think what happens with Serena, she's not the first. Shout out to my Uncle John, who got me interested in tennis. By the time I was in second grade, they were the people like the Jeffersons in my family. They didn't have any kids. They thought, they had the nice apartment, the deluxe apartment in the Sky High on Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, Jersey City. Jersey City.
And Ocean Avenue,
Ocean,
Brooklyn.
with the circular driveways in the building.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
They had the two entrances for the apartment. One over there where the maid used to
Thank
come
you.
in the back of the kitchen.
Shout out
put the
Uncle
garbage
John
out.
and my bougie aunt Desiree.
Yeah, I know about that.
Y'all do have an Ocean Avenue.
Oh no. Quote. Jersey City now has the highest rent in the nation.
I heard that.
Look at that. So when I look, my uncle I used to watch sports with him all the time. And I would see when I would be over there, it's a big thing to him because this was, this is the new bougie blacks in the very early 80s. He played tennis, his work, his wife, my aunt.
Parkside on the back of the Prospect Park. They had the courts in the dome.
Private courts.
Oh.
Yeah. And she worked at E.F. Hutton because when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Yeah.
Right. So he used to expose me to this type of thing. You see it on TV, and I can remember being a kid in elementary school, seeing the reactions of John McEnroe. And there were even times where Mr. Likeable Jimmy Connors had his moments, right? And if they played one another, God forbid, they both were big.
Martina Navratilova.
And not
she
even
would
that.
Get fluffy.
All the Russian girls that spent all this time commenting on Serena. Grace is being determined by the people who were not being graceful to her. And so that's one element. The other element is I'm like, once somebody is solidifying themselves with wins, I really don't care. I don't think athletes have a responsibility to be everybody's example. I don't think athletes owe us anything other than a good show because we paid for that. I think someone like Serena is a fierce competitor. I am the person that I want to end the Uno game if I'm losing. So maybe I'm not the right one for this. I don't even want to play
the table or the dominoes?
I'm leaving.
You're that person?
I'm leaving. Okay.
I'll be upset with you too.
I'm on a bad. I don't want to play on it.
I'll be upset with you too.
I don't play. Look, I learned the hard way. I should not play board games on a date night. Shouldn't do it. I'm bad at it. So
nobody's getting any.
You beat me?
Oh, I know how to lose.
Do you not want to sleep with me later?
I know how to lose to win.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, look,
bro didn't know how to lose to win, so I was mad on date night.
To win that
young boys.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I guess I must be a young guy.
There's a little emotional maturity when you don't know how to let your lady win.
I'm the guy that will beat the 5-year-old in whatever we playing.
Yo,
that guy.
You better hold on to that skip card if I'm
You know how many chess games I had to throw horribly?
Yeah. So let's do this. Finish your point.
She is she's a fierce competitor. I don't know how she wins has been held against. I do know why. She wins and loses has been held against her more than anyone else. And I'm just not willing to jump on that bandwagon because at the end of the day, they keep calling her back because they know she's good for the ratings.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna call her back. She
think
and Venus have a wild card.
The first round match right now is on prime time. Like we know what it is.
Can we just let the actual goat, go out how she wants to?
I'm gonna take the final word on this, and then we will move on. I led with how great she is. She's the GOAT. She's the greatest, one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in my life. And I purposefully did not qualify that by saying one of the greatest women athletes because it doesn't matter. She's one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in my life. Shout out to our brother Ernest Porter, our guest a couple of weeks ago, the author who we had on, who's saying, what about the guy attitude from John McEnroe? We addressed him early on in the interest of fairness. I got the same smoke with him that I've had with Serena. But let me just say this, and then we'll just move on. I'm one of those people. I need the same energy. Show me the same energy.
This is some
it's the same energy thing for me. And I go back to the greatest closer in the history of baseball, a man by the name of Mariano Rivera, who was on the mound for the end of the World Series in the year 2000 against the Mets. We won because we're better than the Mets. And I said it.
You know what?
I said it twice.
I'm gonna get you.
Third time.
When we get off air.
You gonna hit me? I'm sorry.
I say get
I'm
you.
gonna pay for it.
I'm gonna get you.
He was on the mound and they won.
Yes.
And when they talked to him, he said what he said. He was also on the mound in the year 2001.
Yes.
And he gave up the winning run in Game 7 of the World Series. You don't get to play again until next spring.
Yeah.
And he sat at his locker and he answered every single question they asked him.
And it was hard. I watched that interview.
And it was hard. And so he is one who is going to bring same energy. I get all of that Serena went through. I respect all that Serena went through.
Well, maybe same energy for her. You're going to get this when I lose every time.
I'm a same energy type of person. And that's probably what it is, you know, and is it going to change my opinion of her personally? No, because when she's finished, I mean, she was 17 years old in 1999 and I loved her and I still love Serena. I got smoked with her behavior when she loses.
That's fair. You're not the first. You're not going to be the last.
You know, and
till the end of
and John always makes your point. You make your points very well, strong, and I understand where you coming from, and I respect where you coming from. I'm not moved by where you coming from because I know what I know and I feel what I feel. And when I see her, and we can sit and we can talk about 100 losses and okay, 90 of them she probably was great and we didn't see, and it's cool, but the 10. When I saw her sit there, one word answer and roll her eyes and all that kind of stuff, when I know that Coco Gauff and all of the others who come behind her, who pattern their games behind her, are watching her, she ain't got to care about none of that. I get it too. I get that too.
None of those girls comment on that either.
She don't have to care about none of that. And you guys are right when you say she ain't got to come out here and smile and kiki and ha-ha for nobody. Win or lose, she can be how she wants to be. I dig it. I'm with you on that. That ain't never been my argument. My argument has been I don't like that shit. Period. That's it.
It's all subjective. There you go. Let's end it on
that.
That's
it. Because you know, I don't like when Julius Randle does that shit for the Knicks, my team, my New York Knicks.
Really
whenever the Knicks win, he grinning and kiki and ha-ha. And last season, all he did was complain and whine.
But do you want to see him winning and then chilling and joking and losing and chilling and joking?
See that.
I don't be mad.
I'm not the guy.
I want you to take it seriously.
I'm never going to be the guy who's going to be okay with you switching it up, win versus lose. Now, if you an asshole when you win, then we might be talking something. Russell Westbrook, always an asshole. Yeah. I can dig it.
99.9.
I can dig it because I know what I'm going to get with him. He's not going to come out the interview where he gets the trophy for whatever he gets the trophy and be different when they lose
Marshawn
by
Lynch.
100 points and he scored 0 of it. He's going to be the same guy whether they win or they lose. That's where I'm coming from, and that's the last thing on it. And you know how Steppin Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Let's get some comments in, and then we're going to move on. Sue says they talk about how she wins, loses, speaks, dress, can't please everybody, which is the absolute truth. As usual, Sue, you got the money shot comment. You said in 2 lines what John and I have been arguing about for 20 minutes. My sister and family, Lady Z is checking in. Lady Z, we love you.
Right.
We appreciate you, man. Kiss my babies. And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. All right, in the little bit of time that we have left, we jumped in and we went long on some stuff, and so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get everything in, and we'll abbreviate some of the things that we probably would want to abbreviate. But let's see, what are we gonna get into? All right, we were talking about Duke, you know, and the purpose of being consistent with the whole conversation that we're in. Duke volleyball player says that Brigham Young University's officials failed to stop racist heckling during a game.
Yes.
And so let's talk about this. I'm gonna read some of this. I was gonna play a clip, but for time purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and just read some of this. John, I want you to comment first. In the interest of the time that we have, let's get our comments in quick, concise, and we're gonna move on because there's a few more things that I would like for us to get to. So I'm gonna set this up. We're gonna go around the room and we'll move on. Player from Duke University's women's volleyball team says Brigham Young University officials did not act quick enough to stop racist harassment she and other black players were subjected to during a Friday game. Quote, Friday night in our match against Brigham Young University, my fellow African-American teammates and I were targeted and racially heckled throughout the entirety of the match. The slurs and comments grew into threats, which caused us to feel unsafe. Her godmother had some comments. Quote, my goddaughter is the only black starter for Duke's volleyball team. While playing yesterday, she was called an N-word every time she served. The incident led to an apology from BYU, the school banning a fan, and Duke changing the locations of the team's next game. LeBron James tweeted, quote, we are brotherhood and sisterhood. We have our back. This is not sports. Let's see. Richardson says both BYU officials and coaching staff were made aware during the game, but, quote, failed to take necessary steps to stop unacceptable behavior and create a safe environment. No athlete, regardless of their race, should ever be subject to hostile conditions, is what the tweet continues. There's more here. I think we got it properly set up. John, you have the con. You up first. What you got, man? This ain't new.
We've seen this before. Listen, all this does is just reinforce what I say probably every week, some part in my rant or part of the show. When Marcus and I share a brotherhood, and part of that brotherhood says that I can't be present or allow it to be done in my presence to have anything that isn't praiseful said about Marcus, right? That's just how it is. Because by doing so, that means I'm in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
These people sat in this gymnasium. This was not a stadium. It was a gymnasium. And people sat around this person or persons, perhaps two. We're not sure if it was one or two, but it was definitely one. They sat around this person and heard the things that this person said. And they didn't get up and leave. They didn't challenge the person. The person was pointed out to the officials and security. Pointed out directly, this person is doing this thing and no one did anything about it. By not doing anything about it, they all agreed with what that person was doing. So every single individual within earshot, every single security person, every single referee, every single opposing team member, her teammates, her coaches are all racist pieces of shit. Right? Because if I'm a coach, if my player's getting called the name, you know what I'm doing? Come on, y'all. We're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can have this game, but y'all are going to know that I will not stand for this. Because if I stay here, I'm going to go up in the stands and hurt that person. So before I get arrested and before y'all talk about how the angry black man did what he did, my team and I are going to leave because we don't agree with that. Right? We don't agree with that. So for everybody who stayed, who played, everybody but her, because she has been brainwashed. She has been abused psychologically to the point that she feels that it is a badge of honor to endure racism. It is not. Her ability to persevere through that treatment is not a badge of honor. It is a disgrace to the people who assume, who have a expectation of that young woman and others to tolerate white supremacy and racism. So as we continue to go on, again, there's a war in Ukraine, and I see people waving the flags. That entire country operates on an ideology that they are better than black people because they're white. No one on the world stage should support them in any way. But we do. You know why? Because we support racism and white supremacy. Right? And the people who are subjected to the issues of white supremacy and racism, who are not white, because white people are subjected to the problems of it as well. But those who are not white are part of the issue also, because they can't get their minds outside of the box enough to understand what is exactly happening. Israeli people walk into Palestinian people's homes and throw them in the street, women and children, and say, we claim this home in the name of Israel, and put them in the street without any type of right to do so every single day. This country gives over $8 billion in financial aid, not just that, military support and all other kind of things to Israel. So it's a big picture, not to take anything away from the young woman, Richardson. It's her last name. I can't think of her first name right now. Not to take anything away from this moment that is unfortunately thrust upon her, and her ability to deal with it the way that she did, again, is not what I want anyone to champion. Because there's no way she's 19 years old. She was born after 9/11. There's no way that any person born in the 2000s should have to have the mental and emotional conditioning to feel that they should suffer through any sort of racism.
I can definitely dig that. You know, I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Couple of comments. Our brother Ernest says, it's probably normalcy in the hearts of the people in that area most of the time. When someone say what you're thinking inwardly, you won't say anything. Dig it. Our brother Reynaldo says white supremacy is a team sport, and when it comes down to it, most of them are on the team. That's the money shot comment of the night. Reynaldo, you legit have the money shot comment of the night. Steph, what you got on this topic?
Well, I mean, the black woman is what? The most disrespected person in America.
It is. This is the truth.
And
even Serena.
I don't even want to go as far as to.
You heard what I said? I said even Serena. Who's winning right now?
Who's winning?
Who's winning right now?
Killing
by the way.
it. She had a really good.
She
good,
just won.
Ace.
She won the first set 6-3,
yep.
And it just began in the second set.
$1 billion don't even make a difference.
Really don't.
What you got?
So the black woman is the most disrespected person in America, and I think it diminishes the significance of that statement. I don't care about Ukraine when this sister is living this life here. I don't care about where we send money or anything else. And I get your point. I think it's super relevant, super valid. But I think that when we talk about these things, often when we're discussing George Floyd and all these other things, we know how to center on it. Because it's something that's we react so viscerally to. We can react to physical violence, death, murder, mayhem, but we forget the power of words. People, the old BS of sticks and stones. I don't want to hear that, because words are said and spoken intensely. Look at Spike. Words are said and spoken intently to hurt, harm, lift, uplift, and encourage. And it falls into those categories intentionally. And so with this, a lot of times when words are used, we diminish the power of them a little bit. And we are speaking of someone who's 19 years old, who is earning their education this way. They are required to show up and play because of these scholarships and things like that. But they are not being offered or given any space of safety. They are not guaranteed safety. They are not guaranteed that they will be protected in their personhood. And that's what she experienced there. I don't care about Ukraine. I don't care about Russia. I don't care about Israel and Palestine when we are talking about the degradation, diminishment, and further degrading of Black women in our humanity, because we often get looked over. The conversation needs to stay right there. This young woman, every time she got up to do what she is being given a scholarship to do, was called the N-word. And it wasn't just him. There were multiple people. He was the only one they would directly point out. She was forced to be in a space with adults. Now, she's 19. The human brain is not fully formed until you're 25. She's 19. Are we now expecting her to know how to manage this situation, what to feel? We just expecting her to push back the realness of her feelings, act like it doesn't matter. Every adult in the room failed her. And they failed her because she wasn't someone who looked like who they could empathize with. And empathy is a necessity in order for you to be able to protect and provide comfort to someone who's being hurt. Teammates didn't do it. Police officers went and stood by the bench. She was also being threatened with harm. She was literally threatened. Her life was threatened. This person was allowed to stay. All of these things occurred. I don't want to talk about Ukraine. I want to talk about why we can't get to the point of when things like this are going on. We just simply focus on the fact that many Black women go through these things. Many of the corporate stereotypes are created directly at us. When it runs so deep. We're so disrespected within our own communities that nobody external will respect us, and that the people externally know that you're not going to come and get my back. It's going to likely be silent. Nobody's going to show up at the BYU campus demanding anything unless it's a bunch of Black women and attorneys. Where's everybody else to support the feelings and the fact that this woman was disrespected? And ultimately, BYU needs to be held accountable. They have a culture of this. The Black students there on their TikTok will tell you this is the culture of BYU. I don't know why any Black parent would subject their children to this space or co-sign on their children going to a space where they don't really want you, where their religion has always said that you are unacceptable, that you are the children of Ham, that you are descended from people who couldn't choose between God and Satan, so your skin is the mark of Cain. Yes, all of these things were taught within the Mormon ranks. They didn't allow Black leaders or Black leadership or real Black involvement until recently. And so we shouldn't be surprised when these things happen. What we should do is be prepared. And when we aren't prepared, we should be prepared to address them there and then and on the spot, and as easily as possible. Here's a clean blank slate. This is what you're doing to this particular person. I don't care about the history of it or where it's coming from. You're not going to do it. BYU, Duke, and the coaching staff failed her. And I feel like BYU should lose some of their standing, but I don't think Duke should be left off the hook simply because she plays for them. They didn't do the job. They didn't do the job. And I'll say this too, for her mother, her auntie, her godmother, anybody who was sitting in the room, where were you when you had an opportunity to exert your power in the moment? I get it. You want to go to Twitter and, and create a ruckus, but where were you in the moment? And that is one of the big problems with racism and with racist behaviors. You let it go. You let it go for social media purposes. Deal with it in the moment. Make a fuss in the moment. Make it clear this is unacceptable in the moment. I can't stand I wish I would have said person. I can't stand it. Maybe it's because I'm witty and I'm going to hurt you right now in this moment with my words. I'm going to think quick.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I got words for you right now. I don't want to go home tonight and lay down in bed. I don't like them people. I should have said this. Well, you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody in the room, mom, godmother, anybody there that was with her, you failed her too. And instead of being one of those people that's just like, you know, taking it to social media, ask yourself what you'll do next time, because it's not going to be the last.
No, it definitely won't. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio, the sisters have spoken. They will have the last word on the topic. Steph B and in social media, our sister Sue, who says Black women are always expected to, quote, take the higher road, or, quote, get over it. But you defend yourself and you are the angry Black woman. Definitely.
Not lying.
She ain't lying. You know, hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Shout out to Big Cuz. He says peace and love, cousin. Hey, everyone. That's my cousin Tony, everybody.
Hey,
We haven't seen Tony in a while. It's good to see you, brother. Thank you. Ronaldo says, I follow what my mama taught me early in life. Wherever you act a fool. I feel like
it's where you gonna get this.
Yeah, wherever you act, there you go. There you go.
You gonna embarrass me here? I'm gonna embarrass you
right here on the spot. Ronaldo, you nailed it, brother. You nailed it. Ain't no ass Steppin with Marcus
culture,
J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. All right, so we're gonna run through these. I'm gonna play this clip, right? I'm gonna play this clip. We're gonna do this real quick, right? It's a quick political detour. And then we're going to finish the rest of the night up into the rants and the conclusions. We're going to talk about generations. What generation are you from? Are you a baby boomer? Are you from the silent generation? Are you from the great generation? Are you Gen X? Are you millennial? Are you Gen Z? Or now I'm learning Gen Alpha is the babies. If you was born after 2013, they call you a Gen Alpha. Yeah, mama told me that today when I told her we was coming here to do this. So we're going to get into that. We're going to end the show with that. But before we do that, I do want to take a very brief political turn because a Republican senator, as usual, says something stupid. 2 O's level stupid. Like, not just 2 O's level stupid, like 3 O's level stupid. Like, not just 3 O's level stupid, like Republican level stupid. So let's just listen and let's just get it.
The FBI says it routinely warns people about potential misinformation. I wonder why they didn't warn themselves or the FISA court in 2016.
Well, you had a really good high-minded discussion with your last guest. I'm just going to get really to the bottom of all this. Most Republicans, including me, believes when it comes to Trump, there is no law. It's all about getting him. There's a double standard when it comes to Trump. What happened with Hunter Biden is that the FBI weighed in to make sure a story didn't break for the 2020 election. We now have whistleblowers at the FBI telling Senator Grassley that they were told to slow down and back off Hunter Biden. And I'll say this, if there's a prosecution of Donald Trump for mishandling classified information after the Clinton debacle, which you presided over and did a hell of a good job, there'll be riots in the streets.
There'll be riots in the streets.
Miss Lindsay, too much for me.
Girl.
Miss Lindsay need to stop.
So I guess the point that I want to get to is what he said. And he said that they come for Trump. And he also suggested that it's unwarranted. And he suggested, but then he outright said that they will riot in the street. So I want, really quick, each of the three of us are going to say what we got to say about that. And then we're going to move on to the more fun fare. But Steph, you up first on this one. There'll be riots in the streets. John, you up, ladies first, brothers first. All right, John, you up first. There'll be riots in the streets.
Yeah, well,
I just like saying
what else is new? It just like 2 people from Proud Boys just got sentenced for inciting riots within the Black Lives Matter. They disguised themselves as Black Lives Matter protesters and incited riots and assaulted police officers. They got issues. So yeah, they know about rioting and setting it up. And setting bricks out in the street, and taking water from people. Lindsay needs a new Lindsay needs to go on what's that? Finder, grind, get something going on with himself.
What you doing, John? What you doing,
do
John?
that,
John, what you doing,
Keep
man?
it moving, John.
Listen, whatever his issues is his issues. This whole thing is ridiculous. All of it's ridiculous. The false equivalencies, the outright, this issue came about more having to do with the FBI's admittance that they played down the Hunter Biden situation because they did not want Trump to win. That was damn near illegal if it wasn't, and they shouldn't have did it, but they did. That don't have nothing to do with the fact that Trump is a private citizen and he committed crimes that he should be in jail for. And I know someplace, somewhere, there's a black man getting locked up for something silly. Like Wesley Snipes did 2 years for tax evasion. Even after he tried to pay, they said, we won't take your money. We want to put you in jail just so you know your place. But Trump can take documents and nuclear codes and all kind of stuff and not see a day in jail. Oh, by the way, the stock market lost like $1.5 trillion the other day and nobody said a word about it. We still looking for the $3 trillion loss before 9/11. Nobody wants to talk about it to this day. And all of that comes right back around to, if you got the complexion for the protection, it's all good. Because none of the stuff we ever talk about these political situations, we can call it politics, but it ain't. It's racism. Because if Joe Biden was black, he wouldn't be president. If Hunter Biden was the son of a black man, he would have went to jail for doing something that people do all the time, nepotism, trying to ride the coattails of the name of their parent who's successful. Donald Trump would have been probably shot by a firing squad for any one of the things he did. And we could start with grabbing by the pussy. So,
or the thing with the special needs person that,
blood coming out of her eyes. Proud Boys, stand bound.
Say that again.
I could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get
away
with it.
Proud Boys, stand back but stay ready.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So all of this stuff, which was enough to lock him up already, and we dealing with all this other nonsense, we gotta stop hiding it. We gotta have the real conversation, as I always say. Until we're ready to have the true conversation, the real conversation, until we're ready to get very uncomfortable and call it out for what it is, it's all gonna be racism. If it's in America, it's racism. Full stop.
Steph.
I think the bigger thing that we missed or that we really let go by is the very first thing he said. It's don't believe your lying eyes, right? You see everything that's happening, and the GOP narrative is they're just messing with Trump. It's not really, the law is not the problem. It's how it's being applied and who is being applied to and why. There's a significant desire to continue to keep people in a fog. And then there's also the traditional fear. They used this during the civil rights era. If you change the laws, Jim Crow laws, there will be violence in the streets. They've used this before. What we have to be very comfortable saying is, and so what? This should not stop Merrick Garland. Let's keep it pushing. At the end of the day, though, I think about how many people justify and validate January 6th. Many of them have been, another Proud Boy was sentenced to 4.5 years today for smashing a sign in the Capitol. Many of those people don't believe they did anything wrong. So connective tissue, they're not going to admit that Donald Trump did anything wrong. So he will always have people who support. There are always going to be people in this country who believe the law is for thee, not for me. It's always going to exist. It's always going to be that way. And that is what they are consistently applying to Donald Trump and his behaviors. But Lindsey Graham carrying the message, that's messaging. He's speaking to a very specific audience. We heard it, but he was basically doing the, as you said, the stand back and stand by. This was another one of those moments. And if these people don't vote these guys out, it's the only way it's going to happen. And if the legal system, the justice system doesn't get to a point of where they start to censure and hold these people accountable for terroristic threats and things like that, the smallest laws you would hold someone, if someone that was black or brown was on the phone with someone and they were mad and they said, I could just kill you for this, that is a terroristic threat. That's enough to be investigated. If you are an average person who is black or brown and being held accountable for every single law in this country, from jaywalking in Jacksonville, look it up, to them wanting to look very closely at Obama simply because he must be doing something wrong. There's no way he's this clean. There's no way. We know these people are not this clean. There must be something. He must be an immigrant. Must be an undocumented immigrant, must have a mistress, must be a Muslim, which I don't know how that's a crime, but his right, all these things. His wife emasculates him. I mean, everything. And you heard it even from men of color who wanted to denigrate him. You heard that from people like Tavis Smiley. That's why you don't hear much from him now. So things like this, when it comes up with Trump and Cornel West, exactly. And when things like this come up with Trump, I'm no longer surprised. All I think needs to happen is the powers that be need to keep pushing forward. And whatever happens in the streets, happens in the streets. But in that courtroom, you need to do your job, because if it was somebody else, you would do it.
And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. I mean, you guys said it. I'll just kind of not clean up, because you guys said it the way you needed to say it, and it was great. But I want to fall in the rotation and kind of add my own spin to it. I think one of you guys who mentioned how this was a calling card to the people who follow the Republican Party and Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump in particular, with regards to the comparison to the stand back and stand by. When you say there's going to be riots in the street, you know, the thought behind that for those of us with sense is there ain't gonna be no riots in the street. But now that you just put it out there and made the suggestion to these people, if shit don't go the way you want it, y'all need to riot in the street, because this is what we do when we are obviously oppressed and we try to arouse our people towards, going against oppression. There's no oppression. There's no oppression here. There's no oppression here. And the mere suggestion that they come for Donald Trump unfairly is so incredibly asinine that, let me tell you something, right? Y'all follow me, folks on social media, the people who know me, and someone's asking, where are the two geniuses, West and Smiley? We just talked about them a minute ago. They, I asked the question where they were a long time ago. And I'm trying to see who actually said that. Cousin Tony said that. I said that a long time ago. Like, where are they? They're so prominent during the Obama administration. They was coming for the brother, but all during Trump, we ain't heard shit from they punk asses. And I fuck with both of them. I don't fuck with neither one of them now, but that's just what it is. And those were my two first F-bombs of the night. I got pissed off when the mere mention of their names a few minutes ago just annoyed the shit out of me. It made me kind of almost. They don't even
deserve to really.
I almost kind of lost my train of thought. But when we talk about how, and this new stage in my life, ever since I've kind of shifted. We shut the den down. I'm doing a lot more yoga. Trump's out of office. Like, all of those things kind of really added to a personal shift in mine. And so I have kind of tried to avoid speaking a lot about Donald Trump. Fuck, we need to care about him for he ain't the president. But yeah, we kind of need to, because at the end of the day, He's still talking about running in 24. You still got a bunch of people running around with them goofy ass red hats.
The entire party
You
is
know what I'm
still
saying? And the
committed
whole
to him.
party, they still up his ass. Like we could see
Yep.
with the Cheney congresswoman who ain't there. She ain't there 100. Hey, look, she won 70 to like 20 the last time she ran.
Yeah.
And this time she lost like 70 to 20
while still voting for him.
Right, against somebody who was endorsed by him. Like we know that's a whole Trump thing. And so you have to wonder, as you look around your brethren and your sister in this country, who are these people that still fuck with this dude? Like when John laid out his resume of bullshit, and it was completely in contrast to the nonsense that Lindsey Graham said that we just played. Like, where are they coming from? And like, you need to ride in the street. Like, come on, man. He grabbing pussies and he's making fun of handicapped people, and he got 100% outward racist rhetoric and things that
Gold
he
Star
does.
families.
You know what I'm saying? Like he went after Gold Star families. Like I have made a very clear decision to not spend any time mired in his bullshit because it is adverse to my peace. Because you see what you see. It is the epitome. Like if you ever wanted to understand what gaslighting is, if you ever wanted to know, all you got to do is look at the way Donald Trump has performed in this country and the people who support him. It is a masterclass in gaslighting. When you see the things that you know, if your mama did that shit, if your kid did it, if your best friend did it, if the local official in the town that you live in did it, you would be outraged. You would be the first one to call them out. You would be rallying the people who agree with you to get rid of this person. But for some reason, you have this charlatan, you have this racist, you have this con man who will look at you and tell you that the sky is red, Republican red. And you will have these goofy ass red hat dumb people following him and say, yeah, it's red. And those of us with sense will look at it. And then you got the people in the middle, the average Republican who don't like him, that's going to vote for him anyway. Because of the color of his party. It is the most confusing thing I have ever experienced in my life, other than women. Because y'all confuse me too. Except Steph. Only because you here and you might hit me.
All right. I'm easier to understand when we don't have a dating relationship.
Yeah, that must
so
be.
there you go.
That must be part of it because Mama don't confuse me either.
Yeah, see, that's what it is.
You know, but in all seriousness, man, I honestly, you know, I don't want to go through the biography of the stuff that I've always said, but I will just say this, man. I remember I am the same age as the Central Park 5. Pops J told me back then, make sure you do what you're supposed to do so that you can do what you want to do. Yeah. And when those kids got in trouble, my father stayed on me, make sure that you do the right thing. I talked to Pops today. I'm 48 years old. We ended the conversation with, be safe, man. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't be going no place you're not supposed to go. This is what this man said to me, and I'm 48 years old. So when he told me 30 years ago that Donald Trump wasn't about nothing because of how he treated them boys, like, come on, man.
We should have seen it
man.
then.
Like, I mean, Pops knew this 30 years ago. I've been trying to tell people since he came on the national consciousness who he is. Now, again, I don't want to rehash all of the stuff because we did this, and I tell you, the way my blood pressure just went up on the mere conversation, I could do that here. I'll just leave this because I want to spend a little bit of time in the generation conversation. So I will just say this. For those of you who still wear these goofy ass red hats, I really hope that y'all don't fuck up the country any more than you already have. But it's not like any of us are walking around thinking that it ain't already fucked up. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. One of my favorite people in the history of my life, my sister Sue, who is agreeing with me. She says, we confused too.
Right, Sue?
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, John. All right, Steph. All right, Sue. All right, Tony and Ronaldo and Ernest and everybody who's still listening right now. We gonna shift. And I'm gonna say my corny line again. Let us move on. And we're gonna talk about generations. Okay. And so Mama J, who is a wonderful person, mostly because of who her parents are, but she sent me this meme, right? I can't see until I take my glasses off. But she sent,
ironically, generational issues.
Generational issues, right? And I'm gonna need y'all to not look at my eyes because I'm shy as hell. That's why I wear tinted glasses.
Oh Lord, here we go.
I just let y'all in on a secret. Nobody knows. It's just us. So the generations, and I'll start with the silent generation because Pops is in there. 1925 to 1945. Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. Gen X, 1965 to 1979. Then they got this bullshit called Xennials, which is 75 to 85. But then we already do that when we talked about Gen X.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Millennials,
nobody pays attention.
Millennials and Gen Y and Gen X is 80 to 94. iGen and Gen Z, 95 to 2012. Hey, mama. And then Gen Alpha, 2013 to 25. Like, I don't know how y'all know it's going to stop in 25.
They say every 15 years is what it really is the change.
It's
like,
just
it was supposed to be 20. When did they change to 15?
I don't know.
The target is moving. The target
when the
is
Pew
moving.
report came out, they were like every 15 years.
Let me do this, though. I want to
They
give...
do what they want.
People ain't having babies at
I
15
want to give
no
an
more.
equal amount of love and shade to our sister, the Legal Eagle.
Every time.
Because I've been in this conversation with her and it predates all of our interactions and all of our connections. Like, I've known her 20 years almost, and we've always fussed about this. And, you know, without telling her age, 1981, she can't beat me up though. She does not like to be known as a millennial. Even before we had this term called Xennial,
She doesn't.
She has always been one that identifies more with Gen Xers. And I said, you can't be part of this club. You're too young. But
we love you though.
But we love you though. And I'm only picking on you, not only because we love you, but because you're a part of the show. Like, if you was a listener or a fan, it would be different. No, it wouldn't. Let me not even say that. Let me stop. But in all seriousness, that little group, Xennials, there is something to be said, John, for the 1975 to 1985 person. Because with respect to Tamika and those like her, they are a little different. And Mrs. J was also born in 1976, and I had a conversation with her today about it, and she thinks it's bullshit, and she thinks that we're Gen X and all of the extra stuff, giving it a new Xennial.
Like 4 years ago.
She agrees with you and I that it's bullshit. And I talked to her tonight about today before I came here. The last person I talked to was Mrs. J and Mama J before I came in here. I talked to them. I told them that we was doing this, and I told them about Tamika, and I told them about, you know, John and Steph and three of us being firmly entrenched as Gen Xers. So I'm willing to have the conversation with regards to fun, truth, and shade. I am 1974, right in the heart of Gen X, and I love it here. I love it here. And so I do. And Cousin Tony says he's a baby boomer all the way 1962.
And honestly, I just want to say one thing before you go.
No,
so
I'm done. I'm done. So you got it.
Pew Research Center is really where this type of thing connected directly to the census is where this is driven. And if you go to, you know, they're used in like government studies and everything else. They send the information to them. This is what we want, figure it out. They are the ones who go silent generation, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials. They don't mention Zennial. Zennial didn't really come up until recently. Then, of course, after millennial is Gen Z and then Gen Alpha. So, so when I threw this in the group chat, it was because people hate generational conversations, especially if they have a little bit of swag that they don't see in their generation. They will resist it. Or if they have a tiny difference from their generation, they will resist it. Gen X, for as much as no one really mentions us, people just skip right over Gen X. It is a smaller generation. Most of us are the FU generation. It's either like F your job, I'm just gonna work for myself, or F your stress at your job, I'm gonna do, they're doing the quiet quitting thing now.
I heard
Gen
about
X
that, yeah.
been decided, if I gotta work for you, you're not gonna stress me out. I'm coming here, do my job, and go home. As a matter of fact, in the late 90s, when a lot of Gen Xers were coming in, the complaints were they work independently, they don't like team stuff, they stay to themselves, they bury their nose in their work, and they go home on time. Yes, that's what we did. We didn't need a team building.
Ugh.
We didn't need a meeting.
I hate that shit.
You don't have to buy me lunch. Just pay me right. I want to eat lunch by myself.
And you really
or
don't
with
even
my
have
friends.
to talk to me.
You really don't. Tell me where my desk is how I entered corporate America. Just tell me where I sit. Send me as much information as possible so we don't have the whole lot of conversations.
Give me money every 2 weeks. Just give me money.
Yeah. And don't talk to me about anything else. Don't tell me I wear other hats and other duties as assigned. I won't do anything.
I don't even need you to tell me I'm great.
I
give
really
me money
don't.
every
I'm
2
good.
weeks.
I'm good. My parents didn't. I was, fixing my own peanut butter and jelly after school.
I had a key at 5.
I had a key. I rode a train. I'm good. I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, Gen X gets lost in that. And so a lot of people don't have conversations about us. But where this came up for me today was I was talking to a good friend and she was talking about the skill sets that are missing generationally. And honestly, the silent generation would have said that about some of the boomers. Oh, they wouldn't have been able to make it when I made it without money. And, just after the Depression era and blah, 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 they wouldn't have been able to make it. The baby boomers look at the millennials and they have their judgment of how they wouldn't be able to make it if they didn't have blah, blah, blah. And now I do find that when I think about the end of the world, and we saw January 6th, so zombie apocalypse is possible. When I think about the potential of like if this country was overrun, if the infrastructure was impacted, and by the way, the people who don't have laws held up against them, the ones that wanted to like blow up Michigan and all that other stuff, yeah, they could bring this country down because you keep overlooking them and allowing them to do things that will ruin a democracy. I have said if the democracy was ruined and I was forced to live off the grid because there is no grid, there are certain generations I don't want with me because I'm worried about their ability to be sustained without certain creature comforts that they've never had to live without. Now, I will say I'll take a few Gen Z hitters because these kids are like, so what, life or death? They're the kids you walk in the room, you see that TikTok where they're like, there's a woman else out there that want to fight me. Her kid is out there and I want you to come fight them. And they're like, where my shoes at? That's Gen Z, for real. I mean, I give them a lot of credit because they're fighters. You're about to have the first Gen Z congressman down in Florida. He calls himself a product of the school shooter generation. No joke. He was in the Parkland shooting.
That just hit a whole different way, though.
Well, he's
but you're right.
He's a product of it. He's like, my entire life, I've never done anything but go to school and have school shooter drills. And then I ended up in one, in an actual school shooting down in Parkland. I don't think the average 20-something-year-old when we were Gen Xers were really like, yeah, let me run for Congress. So there is some element of I can do anything I want to, even if I'm not prepared to, kind of like what Garnett said, older, they're not necessarily waiting on their time. They're just kind of taking it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I do know it's useful. Sometimes it's useful to have the person in the room that's going to be like, you know what, the zombies are outside. I'm bold. Let me go kill some and not consider whether or not they're going to die. I'm not built like that. That's not Gen X. We're like, yo, there are zombies out there. What are we doing in here to keep this place isolated so we don't got to deal
So
with
we
that?
ain't got to deal with zombies.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with the zombies right now. If we got to move later, we'll move later. But right now, what space are we in? And then you do have those boomers that, you know, they're frugal, they're able to save, they understand finances in a way, you know, they broke the system. But anyway, you know, and then right before them, you had the silent generation that were hyper frugal. So they bring some things to the table, like living on the spare, living out of canned food and things like that, that I really like. I think we have truly handicapped the newer generations in the sense that, as my friend mentioned, you can't figure out that if I gave you a penny, or if I, you know, if I gave you, if the cost is $11.99 and I give you $12 back and you make a mistake on the register, you're struggling to realize it's simply a penny. Or, you know what I mean? Like, these are serious things, like counting money, understanding a transaction. These things are not happening. So what happens if we go off the grid and you don't have these things accessible? I think it's a lot harder for millennials and Gen Z. I really do. They may not like that. And I will say, I find Gen Z to be closer to Gen X than millennials.
They asses can't drive a stick or write cursive.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is
I don't
true.
even
They
want
can't write.
fuck
So
outta here.
if all the documents left
It's
left
in cursive.
are in cursive, they're gonna be looking for us to read it.
You know what I mean? Like, if we had
With our
war,
readers on?
if we had war and all of the tanks got stick shifts.
No, how about this?
Like, we stuck.
How about
Like,
this?
come on, man, bring that truck over here, Mr. 19-year-old. What's this thing supposed to do?
What's the end mean?
What's the end mean? How come the shifter got numbers on it instead
they
of
know
the,
it's called the
where's the
shifter.
R?
No, they're gonna say the joystick isn't working.
Yeah,
'Cause you
man.
gotta
Come
gear
on,
shift to
man.
the-
Come on, man. You know, but then
Gen
I,
X, you handicap
how,
them too.
How about this? How about this? Car. Drive to mom's house.
Pretty much.
Hey, look, I got one for you. Can you turn the TV down? Okay. You know what I mean?
That's
I
true.
remember Mama when she was a baby, like 3 years old, and we watching Sagwa, or, you know, one of them baby shows. The little baby, 3 years old, look me square in the eye. Daddy, Paul the TV, Daddy. Paul, IP, Paul the TV.
Yeah, she knew that y'all had
Paul?
the original TiVo.
Paul the TV.
She wanted it done.
Like, come on. But then our parents, the boomers and the silent generation,
I'll help you about that.
they might be looking at us like, you can't kill your food.
Yeah, that's true. But I will also say this.
Because I ain't killing my food.
I will also say this.
I will go to Wawa.
You never hold on.
Not
you
in
never,
that time.
Yeah.
You never had to ring it. You never had to catch a chicken and wring his neck.
Never.
Oh, please, sir. Never talking about
Only
that.
time I ever
You ever
seen
had to
that
shuck peas?
was ever
Yes,
when I
my
watched
grandmother
Rocky.
didn't play. Yeah. But
Hey, look, I'm the guy that quit cutting grass before he turned 40. I'm that guy.
But also, and then I'm gonna let our brother Giant jump in here. I also think it's just as relevant to talk about some of the people right now who are making excuses for age, but why you can't survive without your kids right this moment.
Yeah.
So we want to, you know, we can laugh and joke about flashing back, but let's also come to the current. If the system is working technologically and you can't deal with your banking without calling your child or this, that, and the other, you are just as much a problem as the millennials would be or the Gen Z would be if it all fell down. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you're living in this moment and struggling with technology. And you can say I'm tired of the changes, but the fact of the matter is the changes are here. And we need you to understand them because the changes impact how we move through society. And so naysaying them, you know, and I usually say the devil don't need no help, but I am playing devil's advocate here. Naysaying the younger people, they're able to strive, thrive and triumph in this technological era. And I appreciate that you used to get ice delivered, but now you got to learn how to use the Samsung refrigerator that does all the special things and takes the information down, because when you move to the 55 plus community, they're gonna need you to understand how to do these things. And it could make your life easier if you lose your ability to have manual dexterity. I've had older people say my handwriting's not as good as it needs to be. You know what? That's when picking up a phone and understanding how to make a verbal note is important.
Do we, John, get to a certain age where it's acceptable to say, man, fuck that shit, I ain't doing the technology stuff, I'm gonna do it my way? Like, is it acceptable?
I mean, sure,
when
right?
you get to a certain age. And because I agree with Steph, and I will say my parents, who are 80 and 75, can do all of that.
They should. You don't want them handicapped.
One of them can do all of it. Maybe both of them can't, but one of them can do the stuff. And if the two of them got together, they could figure it out.
Yes.
Now that's my experience with my parents. So what I'm asking you, John, I want you to answer that, if you wouldn't mind, before you get into what you're going to say on the topic. Do you age out of it being a necessity for you to be able to keep up with the current times with regards to, and we wouldn't have said technology 30, 40 years ago. We say technology now, but for the purpose of this discussion, we'll use the term technology, but 40 years ago it wasn't technology. It was just keeping up with times. So do you age out of it being a thing where you need to? Is, I guess, what my question is before you get into your own pros.
I always say remain current.
Okay.
You need to. I know that little baby like to beat people up. I ain't never listened to none of the music, but I know he liked to beat people up, and he shot somebody in Walmart and got away with it. I'm current.
I just love this man.
Right?
I love this man. Yeah.
So
because I have no idea what he's talking about.
I do, but I love it.
But I think the young people know what he's talking about.
But he's making a very good point.
I don't know.
You don't necessarily have to be applying it and absorbing it in your day to day, but you know it's happening.
People start talking about stuff. I need to. This is why I watch Power. I'm not gonna have a conversation going on, and I don't know what the hell people talking about.
I watch Power.
People was talking about. People talk about it. I need to know what they're talking about, because I need to know if it's gonna go down. What I'm dealing with. What I'm dealing with. Gen Xer. That's how we felt. That's how we function.
First ones to have tech.
So
the .com era was built on our back.
So watch this. I'm a Gen Xer, but I identify as a boomer because I'm the youngest. Because I'm the youngest of quite a few children. So all of the people I dealt with from a very young age were significantly older than me. They were boomers. Mm-hmm. So the way I react, my responses, my ideologies were formed with boomers.
Yeah.
Right? So all of that to say, if you haven't seen a phone lock on a rotary phone and know how to still make a call, you can't be in my tent. I'm not fucking with you.
You scared to have them around, right? You don't know where their viability is, what they can do.
Yeah, listen. You know, you got all this technology.
Because I'm 48, I have no idea how to do it. Listen, I can't come in your tent.
You got all this technology. You got all this technology in this phone, but you can't explain to me how it works.
They'll say, I don't have to.
You could access the World Wide Web, but you cannot explain to me how the World Wide Web works. You don't even know what the www is. You just call it the net.
Remember when we had to say www?
Yeah. And most folks would say it and still not know what www meant. And you just said it.
Yes.
You just said it.
Also,
they'll say it and not get it.
That is a really good point. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Now, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Elemental P, whatever. I don't listen, I have zero tolerance for foolishness. You can be ignorant and I can educate you, right? You can be a bit retarded and I can scope a lesson plan to work best for you so that you are doing what you do best to help the situation, right? I don't suffer fools, right? So when you come with the foolishness, you just got to go. So I don't care what if you can't, if I sit something down in front of you, right, whatever kind of puzzle it is, and I brought up the thing with the rotary phone because it didn't take long. I'm 5-6 years old. I wanted to call my friend. It didn't take me long to figure out all I got to do is hit 7, 2, 3, 1, and my friend gonna pick up. Phone lock didn't stop me, right? It shouldn't take you long to figure things out if you got a problem. The problem is now the technology, the children were born into technology. They don't understand. If you never went into a library and if you what's that, the Dewey Decimal System?
Yes, I just was talking about that the other day.
If you don't know what it
is,
is,
the library aide, so I knew.
If you
card catalog.
If you never had a library card, if you ain't never took a book out, if you ain't never returned it late and paid your nickel,
or just kept it,
because
it happened,
right? When we were in school, you had 20 to 30 kids in the class. You had the desks lined up across the front, 5 or 6, down the back, 5 or 6. That's how you got 20 to 30. Just enough room in between these desks for you to slide that seat back and get in. You know what they told us? Look at your own paper. Look at your own paper. And keep this scrap over here because we want the scrap back.
Yeah.
Because I want to know how you got the answer.
It's called show the work.
Show the work. Show the work.
Yeah,
your bibliography.
Not 3 of y'all form a team and discuss how you feel about getting this test. How you feel about getting the test. These people today, these young adults and young people have been lied to. They have been told that somebody gives a damn about how they feel. If you really think somebody gives a damn about how you feel, you bound to fail.
There's the money shot. Steph, take the final word.
And I do want to, because I don't want to dismiss that the fact that, like you know, I had a lot of exposure to my uncles and aunts who would be considered early first Gen X or baby, young baby, late boomers. And I spend a lot of time with somebody who's probably the first year of the last year boomer. And what I do recognize is there are groupings there. So this particular individual is 60, and they said to me, I don't like not knowing how to do something. And they were referring to social media in general. I don't like that feeling. And that's all I'm saying about generations that are pre-tech generations living currently. All you have to do is be comfortable acknowledging that not having information is not good. And that it's okay to learn something new. Doesn't mean you have to be the one-hand texter with the fastest thumb. Doesn't mean that you have to know how to use, Mac platforms and Windows. Nobody's expecting all that. Doesn't mean that you have to know who every performer is and what they're saying. What it means is you've got to be able to function in the world in which you live. And if you're a business owner that's a certain age and is pre-tech, you want to know that you're paying the person that's doing some of your tech work for the right things. You want to know that, if they run off, they don't have the keys to your technical kingdom. You also want to not have to put the information in other people's hands. Anybody having access to your digital footprint has control of you in this current era. So rather than copping out on, man, I'm too old. That was before. See, y'all don't know. take a moment to understand that this is the new way to segregate you from the haves, is not getting the information. Very simply, I remember I was a Samsung girl. I prefer still a Samsung. I just use now, thanks to my Gen Z, I've been pushed into Apple products, and now everything is interconnected, including my business stuff. So I have to, it's almost like the cult has pulled me in, right? I did not like not knowing, because I knew that I was a product of the first wave of the technical generation. And I used a Samsung, which is much more difficult. So why can't I use this closed source product that only allows you to do certain things when I was using open source for so long? Very simply, I said, teach me what I need to know. You know what my daughter did? She did screen records. If you want to, because they don't have a lot of patience for education, the Gen Zs. You taught them everything. They don't got no time to teach you. So what she came back with was just a bunch of screen recordings to show me visually how things were done. And it moved me past the learning curve. So now here I sit, I'm about to be the perfect 10, 46. And I can use both platforms. My business is more successful because I can use more platforms. I understand lots of different software and the implementations of those software and things like that. It isn't about, don't be so happy to say I'm not of this world when you live in this world. Figure this shit out. Because just like the kids can get left behind, you can too. And then your anger is going to be directed at them because you don't know anything. You feel like nobody is talking to you about things. Well, the reason they're not is they don't want to explain and they don't have time. Just like you didn't. I was an 18-year-old in corporate America. Not a baby boomer in that space gave me time. Oh, you so smart. You here, figure it out. That's where these kids are. So you got to get engaged. You don't got to go deep, but know enough.
I step on Marcus J live from New Dan, like I see in the radio time. Make it quick, bro.
I went to the Mac store the other day because I have a problem with my phone, whatever the case. And the guy, one of the jeans, Apple, whatever, same difference. Whatever, Apple store. One of the geniuses was there, and he was on the phone and he was doing some stuff. The thumbs was like incredible. And I'm thinking to myself, I remember learning how to type, right? And you had your fingers in front of you in certain positions, your thumb for the space, and you had to know to type, and you had to be able to look up, read, and type without looking. Don't look down. Don't look down.
They taught us that way,
right? So now it's a thumb thing. It's a thumb thing because don't nobody even type on. I got a keyboard under there. These kids don't use keyboards. They voice activate everything.
Yeah.
And if they on some type and they type, I remember my son was taking a typing test. He was like, "What do you think I'm gonna do?" I said, "You're gonna do about 34." He did 34. He's like, "How'd you know?" Because I learned to type.
Yeah.
I know what it takes.
But you know what? Getting older and getting frustrated with young people is universal. It does not matter what generation you come from.
Well,
and everybody whose music came behind you sucks until you get older and learn to appreciate when you have a kid and your kid likes they shit. Because I remember being a Gen Xer in the 80s, and I remember moms and pops listening to Run DMC, and I used them purposefully. It's noise is noise. That noise is Hall of Fame worthy. You know what I'm saying? And so the cool thing that I'll say, and I'll end it with this because we got time reasons, so we got to move on. But things change as you get older, and you become the older generation as you get older. Now the complete contradiction to what I just said is we are the youngest old people I think I've ever experienced, because I remember being 19, the same age Mama is now. One of the best years of my life was 19, where she is now. And I promise you, 48-year-old when I was 19 was old as hell. Whereas now, I told somebody 2 days ago I'm gonna be 50 in 2 days, in two years. And this person, and people normally don't believe me, but I usually don't give it to them that quick. I usually make them guess, but I gave it to him. I'm 48. What? It's like, yeah, I don't present as 48. Yes, I look good. Yes, I feel good. And yes, 30 years ago, 48-year-olds were old people. That's just what it was.
Because it wasn't 80 something was not life expectancy.
Hell no. Ain't no ass Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in the radio. Last two comments before we move on. Sue says something as simple as a dictionary had this teenager stuck. Took them a minute to figure out how it works. Laugh my ass off. Our sister Michelle is checking us out. Mom Michelle. She simply says, wow. I don't know what the wow was.
I don't know what that means.
That's loaded. That's the
Right?
that's the most loaded wow ever.
But shout out to her because she is that person who was like, I'm not gonna not know.
That might be where the wow comes from.
And at first, I'm gonna be honest, because I work with her, in a consulting capacity, and the consultant in me was like, you don't have time for this. You got to run other parts of the business. This sister was like, y'all ain't gonna leave me behind.
But and
I
funny?
respect that. I really do.
Older people always say wow to younger people, and I promise
she'll explain her wow. She ain't know. She ain't know older people.
I know. No. I say that respectfully. Because we are the older people.
Yeah.
And
we have loaded wow. I was like, wow.
I know that I had a few
y'all
loaded.
Could be older if you want to. I'm the not as young.
Man,
get out of here.
Just because you retired. Wow. Can we do it to him together? Wow.
Exactly.
I'm
wild
worthy. Steppin. Thank you. Steppin with Marcus J. Live from New Den. And this is for you, Michelle. You get a fist bump too. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den. Legacy in area. All right. This is the part of the show that I do not like, but is a necessity. This is where we look for our missing children. We start with Siobhan Mitchell. Siobhan Mitchell is a black female. She's 5'4", 132. Last seen on July 30th wearing a white tee that says rest in peace. She's got braces, a tattoo on her right forearm that says Tyrell. If you've seen Siobhan Mitchell, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. We're also looking for Caden King, also in Henrico, 15-year-old black male, 5'6", 117. He was last seen on August 7th, 2022. If you have seen Caden King, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. Lastly, we're looking for Kamaria Smith Jackson. Kamaria Smith Jackson. She's in Richmond, Cap City. She's 5'3", 160. She's 15-year-old black female, last seen on August 10th. She's got a small scar on her right cheek under her eye. If you've seen Kamaria Smith Jackson, please contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. Or if you have seen any of our missing today, Siobhan Mitchell, if you've seen Caden King, if you've seen Kamaria Smith Jackson, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children at website missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. All right, so I'm going to really get to the missing children. I'm going to really get to the moment in Black history in my rant, but I will just as wonderful as I pull my glasses over the nose because I can't see with them on because I am Gen X and we are old. 1955. Can't even talk on the mic. Can't talk on the mic because I'm getting old.
What happened, Marcus J?
In 1951.
I feel like, that's like a wilding out.
Let's work this out together. What happened, Marcus J?
That's wilding out, right? I feel like that's wilding out. Y'all making me sick right now because I'm confused. 1955, Roy Bryant and J.W. Williams, white members of the KKK, abduct 14-year-old Emmett Till from his great uncle's cabin in Mississippi and murder him. That's the only one that I'm going to do. I'm going to add a personal anecdote to that. 1955, August 28th, which was yesterday, 1955. Shout out to Lady Z. She says, God bless them with regards to the missing children. 1955, Pops J was 13. And in his earlier years, he would spend them in, and I've told this before, I'm gonna tell it again because Emmett Till came up in the moment in Black history. But Pops used to go to Georgia, hang out with his grandma. She was a sharecropper, and he would go and help her on the farm. His job with the wheelbarrow, get the stuff from the field, take it to the barn, get the stuff from the barn, take it to the field, get the stuff from the field, take it to the barn, get the stuff from the barn, take it to the field, and vice versa, all day, every day, all summer for his time. Until August 28th, 1955, when this went down with Emmett Till, when his mother, my grandmother, says, yeah, you're not going back down there no more. You see what they did to that boy from Chicago. You know what I mean? And my pops is still living. Emmett Till ain't here no more, but my pops is still living. And so whenever we have these moments in Black history that make certain demographic or a certain group of our listeners a tad uncomfortable because maybe it makes folks who look like them maybe not appear to be in the most positive light, just know this from your man, Marcus J. I'm someone who is going to treat every individual the way that individual treats me. When we talked about Serena earlier today, John and I had a very fair and honest exchange. We disagreed, but what did I end with? Same energy. Same energy. Same energy when you win, same energy when you lose. I'm one of those people. I'm a same energy person, right? And so if I got issues with you, it's probably going to be with you. If I got issues with you because you do not find yourself on the right side of history, that's a you thing. So I'm speaking to my white brothers and sisters when I talk about that. There's certain stuff that has to be universal. It shouldn't have nothing to do with you being Black or white. Because if it's fucked up, it's just fucked up. What they did to George Floyd was fucked up. What they did to Philando Castile was fucked up. What they did to Breonna Taylor was fucked up. What they did to Emmett Till was fucked up. So, you know, if you can't meet me on the same energy with that, then you an enemy, period. And it don't matter what color you are. Ain't no Ask Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. I just like saying fuck. John, it's time for you to move us on as you give us your rant and your closing. And before you do that, I'm going to say nice things about you. I appreciate you. I rocks with you. I like how you challenge me. I like how you look me in the eyes when we are debating things, because there are a lot of people who struggle with that. There are a lot of people who struggle with the directness of exchanging and engaging with another human being on a soul level. I'm a soulful person. And so whenever I deal with someone, I want them to deal with me in my soul, especially if we're talking about a heated conversation and a heated topic. And in this case, we were talking about Serena Williams. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? No, because I led with how much I love her. I don't like certain parts of how she moves. We debated that. We debated that strong. And when we did that, as men, we shared our rhetoric and we shared our passion. I appreciate that about you. You don't run from that. I don't run from that. That makes us kindred spirits. That means I rocks with you. You got the con. You about to close us out with the first third of the rants and closings. What you got, my brother?
Thank you, sir. I think about different things a lot. I spent a lot of time with the opening today when you asked me how I was. Spent a lot of time thinking about that today, about how I am. And it is for me, I do that for myself so that I'm reminded to always be grateful, because we often find ourselves prepared to complain because, you know, something didn't happen the way and in the time frame that we desired it. Kind of like what you was talking about, Serena Williams. So we get a little fussy, we get a little whatever. So the way I do my best to avoid that is just remember how absolutely astonishing my life is. And I think about things and I know it's all about decisions, right? Every day you get up, and if you're in your right mind and in fairly good health, you get two things that a lot of people don't get. You get an opportunity and a choice, right? The opportunity, whether or not you take it, is up to you. The choice you make, whether or not it's the right one for you, is on you. Nobody else got anything to do with it. Not your mystery God, not your caring neighbor, not the person on the job who don't like you for no reason, not the boss who came in after you, who got hired later than you but got promoted and you didn't. None of them have anything to do with you not taking advantage of your opportunity and making the choice that is best for you. Now, if your decision making process has been poorly cultivated, we understand. If the decisions you make have a lot of attachments to it about whether you decide whether or not to rob somebody or go hungry, we understand. But at the end of the day, it's still your choice. It's still your decision, and you need to own up to it. Right? I own up to my decisions and my choices. I've made a few that I do not like, but I've never shied away from them. I've made a few that were better than most, and for that I am extraordinarily happy. The thing that bothers me most right now, that's part of my rant in this world, that every day is more difficult for me to see where I fit into it, is people who are not willing to accept their own shit. You made that choice. I'm not saying that you didn't have an issue, but it was your choice. Nobody else made it for you. I'm not saying that you were not poorly influenced. I'm not saying that you weren't misguided. I'm not saying that you weren't undereducated. I'm not saying that you were not abused, right? But you still made the decision. Hold it, own it, it's yours, right? And then we can talk about all that other stuff after you tell me, yeah, I did that shit. That's what I felt I had to do in the moment. Like the young woman who got, racially assaulted, verbally assaulted with racial slurs in the volleyball game. Her teammates and coaches made a choice. They said winning, competing, because the outcome of the game was not settled. They said competing in this particular event is more important than the dignity and the safety of this Black woman. They all made a silent agreement to that and signed the contract. They all should feel disgusting about themselves. But I need them to own it. I need them to say, yeah, we made that decision. Competing in this event was more important to us than this woman's dignity. It was more important to us than her safety. We cared more about competing against this team in this arena than we did about this woman. Say it, own it, feel good about it, or don't. But don't deny it, because that's what people are going to do. If she had family there, was her godmother there?
Yes.
Godmother, whatever it was you wanted to tweet about, put on TikTok, or whatever you did was more important to you than your goddaughter's dignity. It was more important to you than her safety, because my godchild would have marched out of that place with me. Either she would have marched out of the place with me, or they would have been carrying me and a whole bunch of other people out in stretchers or body bags. Right? That is not to be tolerated. You tolerated it. You accepted it. That means you liked it. Own it. Admit to it. Then we can talk about your demented, retarded social abilities for not overstanding the fact that you permitted it to happen, because you could have stood up, called her by her name, and walked out of there from the first time. How many N-words do she need to get called before you walk her out of there? Oh no, it's more important for the school, for Duke University, to compete in this one game. This is more important than this young woman's life, for her to be submitted to this type of vulgarity. None of you people want to own this. None of you. It's real simple. I'm the dumbest person I know, and it's simple. If you acquiesce, you are complicit in the crime. You are a party. You are adjoined. And if you don't understand that, we will never, ever resolve this issue. And this is the entire problem in a nutshell. You all sit around and you do not speak out. You stay in the room. You don't leave. You don't challenge. You do not speak right against power. You do not challenge unjust, unlawful authority. And you accept it because you say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. And it isn't that way. That's what you accept. And it's pathetic. And if I hurt some feelings, that's why you got feelings. You got them to get hurt. Say thank you. I'll see you later. That's my rant.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in their radio. Steph, I'm about to say nice stuff about you. So the show is better when you're here. I like John, love John, and I love Grizzy and whoever happens to come in here and be here during the times when you're not here. But I like it better when it's you. I like it better when you're here. I feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable and at ease. I like to listen to you talk. I like to hear the analysis of the issues that you bestow upon us, because it's always well thought and poignant and spot on. And even when we disagree, which is rare, but I still understand where you're coming from. And it's just awesome. You got this energy and this light that brightens up a dark ass room. And the show is better because you are here. And so I thank you for being my friend and for being my sister and for being my partner and putting up with John.
You know,
don't get mad at me, man.
Twice tonight,
look, don't get mad at me,
twice
man.
tonight, John used the word that had me like, don't you say that word,
Don't
John.
get mad at me,
I
man.
told these motherfuckers, I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared.
What, you a bone
I
crusher?
ain't never
Yeah,
scared.
you a bone crusher.
I told these motherfuckers.
You a bone crusher?
I
And,
ain't never
and you're
scared.
welcome for me accepting and tolerating John.
Thank you.
When we outside of the country and they think I'm a punk.
Pause. Or load the trunk and load it.
Open the trunk.
A mess.
I
Yeah.
told these motherfuckers, I ain't never scared.
Yeah.
What? Never
You
scared.
ain't even from Atlanta.
You really
You from
not.
Brooklyn.
Exactly.
How you know all the words bone crusher?
Because it's applicable to Brooklyn.
My
Hey.
man. Hey. Hey, look, I can't even. I had to hang with you. I had to hang with you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, John, you a good sport, man. I love you, man.
He is.
And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. But Steph, I meant all that shit. So
I appreciate it.
it's time for you.
If the boys on the block would say things that nice, they might get some attention. But you can educate them later, Marcus J.
I got class.
Or don't. I got other things to be doing.
I got class. and I know my way.
Lose
around.
at the board game.
I'm not doing. I'm not doing that. I will beat your ass.
Look, I give y'all that. I give
beat
y'all
your
that
ass.
one for free. Otherwise, my consulting fees start at $250.
And FYI, Marcus,
I'm not getting.
It was a Gemini who didn't understand that concept.
Yeah, I ain't getting
so
none.
y'all, you know what y'all do? You
I'm
air
not getting
signs.
none.
Y'all don't care if y'all break friendships because y'all just go somewhere else and find new friends.
Hey, look, I will trade. Hey, look, I will trade the booty for the win.
Messing with those.
I will trade the booty for the win.
See, but you can't trade. You just got to give it up from the beginning.
Yeah, it
because
is.
you might not get the booty, but you need to take that risk.
My man,
it's
you
a gamble.
understand. My man, that's why
you
I
know
love
what? Let's move it on.
Yeah.
Y'all are the worst.
Yeah, we are terrible. What you got, sis?
All right, thank you.
You got it.
It was nice to be back. I missed you last week.
Yeah,
shout
man.
out to Grizzy.
Yeah, man.
You know
He's
what?
a lot.
I was gonna say
He's a lot.
I love Grizz.
He's a lot.
Shout out to the woman who married that
He's
man.
a lot. He's a lot.
I feel like Kiki Palmer. I don't know that man.
I love him. I wouldn't
Shout
be
out
here.
to the woman that can do it.
I wouldn't be here. We
I love
wouldn't
him.
be here. I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here without
I love him, but that energy is massive. Y'all didn't need me.
And I tell him right to his face, "You're a lie."
He's a lie.
Grizzy's the sneakiest, smart motherfucker I ever
He's
met.
brilliant. He's so smart.
Sneaky with it.
So smart.
I will tell you, I was so entertained when we all had the little meetup. He's very entertaining.
He's brilliant.
And he's extremely smart.
He's brilliant.
And his delivery is hilarious.
Yeah,
I'd go see him. At
he
the
had the
Funny
whole
Bone.
bar captivated.
He really did.
That night, he had the whole bar captivated.
He's very captivating.
My man. Love him.
So so first of all, I want to shout out our favorite listener. So every Friday, I do the Hustlers Hive on Choice 105.3, ESPN 106.1. If you're not local to RVA, it's streaming choice1053.org. So choice1053.org. You can hear the Hustlers Hive. Let's just say it's like MSNBC, CNBC, and Shade Room all mixed up together. It is where business and culture collides. And you tap in. We're talking about the Donda effect. We've covered student loans in a shady way. We talked about Khalees overstepping her boundaries and how communication is supposed to look. So you come and you get some edutainment, as it should be. It's an extension of what kind of what we do here. Have that edutainment, but more focused on moving you guys forward. So I want to shout out Sue, because she's gonna show up. And I appreciate that. When you have a brand and you're building it, you're doing all these things to grab listeners and attention. There's a lot of noise on the internet and in the stratosphere, and I appreciate that she comes and listens to my noise. So thank you, Sue, and thank you to anybody else within the reach of the sound of our voices who have been supporting. Come through, support, comment. You'll get some attention, you get some laughs, you get some education. That being said, my rant tonight is about compromise. So I believe that semantics, first of all, semantics is an art. It is the study of language outside of linguistics. It is the study of the meaning of what you say, the meaning of words. And so anytime, as a kid, I was not the kid who avoided the dictionary. I wanted to know all the words. I wanted to be solid in my vocabulary, my ability to express myself in any room, whether it's me being Brooklyn Betty and you get that delivery, or me being Steph B and you get the delivery a different way. I wanted to always be able to use my words properly. And I feel like compromise is overrated, understated, and misunderstood. So there is one definition of compromise. It's a verb. When compromise is used as a verb, and it's accept standards that are lower than is desirable. Accept standards that are lower than is desirable. So often, compromise is used in a gaslighting sense. If I know that what you're saying has no value, and I am comfortable judging that some things we could be in the midst of a conversation, it's like that does not add value. I see where you're going. You're trying to distract from the conversation. You're working to move away from accountability, and you want me to agree to disagree. I don't do that. I'm a Virgo. We don't like that. I want you to live on the words that you say. But more importantly, I want people who are listening right now to understand that when you compromise, you need to determine whether you are accepting standards that are lower than is desirable and whether that has any value to you. So losing for the sake of losing has no value to Marcus. I understand that. I am comfortable with that. He is not willing to accept that standard or function at that standard. I'm comfortable with that. Most of us are compromising in some way and accepting a standard that is lower than what we desired. And what we desired may have been a necessity, a raw want, or an opportunity. And instead of getting that need met, that want engaged, or that opportunity exposed, we will accept something lower simply to make the people in the room or the person we're dealing with feel better. So you could be the bigger person. So you don't have to say, am I the a-hole? Any of that. And the fact of the matter is, when I watched the situation with the Duke player, I really just expand that across life when I think about the Black woman in America. We have consistently compromised and accepted standards that are lower than desired and worked to try and beat them. So when the student loan conversation came up recently, and I started seeing all the new Black people, new Black people, when they get some money and they're a little bit better than everybody, and I live better than you, and I paid off my student loans. I don't have any, and I have multiple degrees to show for it. And I'm not saying you even got to go get that. It may not even be necessary for the life you want to live. But what I understand is that accepting that people, not only who look like me, but may have come from where I come from, who are receiving a lesser experience in their walk, in their journey on this planet than I might be experiencing, who are bearing the weight of student loans and a cost of living standard that's not keeping up with a pay wage. I am comfortable compromising and accepting that that is not the standard they should have to accept. They should not have to accept the standard of, at least you get to be here to pay your water bill. They should not have to accept the standard of, at least we let you in corporate America, when most African American people, most marginalized people, and particularly Black women are going to college, amassing student loans that are overvalued for the education they're getting. They're pushing through because somebody told them to be in this space, to be accepted, you need this piece of paper. Oh, and by the way, the compromise is then we're going to let you in, but we're not going to pay you as much as the people around you for the same job. So it is going to take you longer to pay this off. Oh, and by the way, you signed it when you were 18, and your parents who were undereducated about the process of student loans, who didn't understand banking because they were excluded from the banking process, whether it was they didn't get the advice or the information or the sit down. But see, you new Blacks don't understand that because y'all know everything about the financial system. You know it all. And what you've done is accepted the standard that people who aren't like you or whatever you think you're like should have a lesser experience than you in this journey on this planet. I'm not going to say that we're all going to have the same experience, but you have decided to compromise and accept the standard that the people who are likely to live not very far from you, because I said it on my show last week, You are part of the have-nots if you're not part of the haves. If we drink coffee or have a beer at the same watering hole, you and me, sis. And I'm with you. And if this brother can walk in off the street, and happy hour means the same thing to him as it did to you, and you went to the same place to get that $2 beer and whatever, you on the same planet, walking the same walk. If Whole Street, if Nostrand Avenue, if Peachtree, wherever you are, if you walk in the same walk as everybody else, and all you got that separates you is a little bit of money or the car you're paying too much for each month, or the PPP you applied for and stole and didn't deserve and now writing off on your behalf, you're the same person. But what you've done is you have validated and co-signed on who you are to a level where now you can compromise and say, I am okay if people have less. I'm okay with that. They should have less. I paid my student loans. They should have a lesser experience. Well, do your homework. This system thrives off of undereducated, educated people. This system thrives off of people who want to have an opinion about others that don't match up to what their standard of living is. They truly do. The wealthy thrive every time you, the middle class, the underrated under middle class, the lower class, look at the people that you think are beneath you and make a judgment of who they are. You don't have to agree with me on whether student loans should be repaired, replaced, waived. You don't have to, but I do want to just shout out a few facts that you might be willing to compromise on, because at this moment for you, it's easier to look at the people you don't have control over or that you have more ability to impact negatively and make judgments of them, because you really can't go for the people above you. You can't come at them. So your joy is in looking at the people who haven't been able to accomplish something you have and say, oh, okay, look at them and look at that. So just a few facts before you become, Facebook famous and make a public status because you need accolades from people who don't really care about you. And, fact one, Black people paid taxes for pools, schools, and libraries they couldn't use during Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965. $0 in reparations for that. That's your grandmother. That's your great-grandmother. That's even your great-great-grandmother and the one right before her. They paid the dues for you, something that they couldn't even use. That's your daddy, my daddy, sitting at home. His parents were impacted by that. Native people had 270 million acres of their land stolen via a Homestead Act, the Homestead Act, 1862 to 1987. I was born in 1987. So was Marcus. So was John. $0 in reparations were paid for that. So you can spare me the Black MAGA outrage, because that's really where you're going. You're toting their line, sis. And I am saying sis, because it really has been some of you sisters sitting on your educated high horse, co-signing so you can be picked by the masses. Did you get picked yet, sis? Did you get picked for downing the people around you who you feel didn't do as well as you? You made a decision. You should pay it off. Maybe they made an undereducated decision like the one you're speaking right now. While you're mad at someone who is not even making, by the way, 90% of what is being forgiven is being forgiven by people who make less than $75,000 a year. Not 125. 90% of that money is going to people who make less than $75,000 a year. And when they say less than $75,000 a year, and you start to dig into those numbers, they didn't really do much for anybody. But Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene had $183,504 in PPP loans forgiven. Congressman Mike Kelly, $987,237. Matt Gaetz, our favorite accused pedophile, $482,321. He comes from privilege. His parents had money. He's made bad decisions. There are mugshots of him that prove it. There have been grand jury testimonies that prove it. He is under investigation while being forgiven for his PPP loans. You know, it's comforting to you because it makes you feel better about the accomplishments that America has taught you to compromise on. See, you've learned how to accept a lower standard, and now you want to take that mindset and apply it without understanding the standard of forgiveness: financial forgiveness, emotional forgiveness, mental forgiveness. There is a listing of no less than 15 congressmen, all Republican and women, who have had forgiveness as high as $3.1 million. And you're talking about the poor person who's still trying to figure out how the cheap meal they used to get, the barnyard pimp, is too expensive for their household now because you paid your student loans back. You're speaking with a majority. It's just a majority that doesn't care about you, look like you, and has already told you that the minute you climb the totem pole, even a little bit, you've met the highest standard that Blackness could ever get. And now here you are, and you're sitting all your woke wisdom, and you want to condemn and judge. All I'm challenging you to do is understand that you have been trained to accept a compromise that does not benefit you or the people you think are beneath you in the long run. So before you get complacent, or before you get even more arrogant in your standing, because that's what that conversation usually envelops. I've seen it. I've seen it from local business owners to local politicians or local Blacktivists. I've seen it to local movers and shakers who since they've locked down Richmond, now they feel there's somebody big enough to look down on everybody else. But if you went outside of Richmond, nobody knows you. No shade to being known in Richmond, but here you are thinking that you get to pronounce over people's lives that they are losers, that they are irresponsible. No, they got caught up in making some of the same compromises that were accepting a lower standard than that was desired. Now is your opportunity to just educate yourself a little bit before you speak the language of poor compromise. Before you speak the language of compromise that diminishes the others around you that look like you, and that likely, should the apocalypse come, should we all have to go off the grid, you're going to live right next to them, because the have-nots do not want you. And that's my rant.
I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. I will close us out and take us home. I will end with my thank yous to you, Steph, and my thank yous to you, John. I appreciate you guys being a part of what we do here and just being partners with me. I've already given you guys individual kudos. I wanted to give that to you as a team, as a pair, as part of the trio that I helped make up. So thank you. Thank you both. I'm going to depart from the normal way that I close out my show tonight. Our show, I usually end it with some rebel music, which is a Bob Marley song. But tonight I'm bad. I'm a bad man tonight. I'm always a bad man. I've got a running gag with a Michael Jackson group that I'm a part of. And yeah, as weird as that sounds, I'm a part of a Michael Jackson group that started literally the day after we lost him on June 25th, 2009 was the day we lost him. The next day, a bunch of our friends, we all kind of had a group chat and we all kind of bonded on loving Michael Jackson. And a couple of us didn't even know each other, but we became friends off of the strength of being Michael Jackson fans. I chose this song because I've always said that Bad is the greatest music video ever created. And, I'm not interested in arguing with anybody about that. That's just how I feel about it. Yeah. I just how I feel about it. I love it. Wesley Snipes and the sheepskins and you ain't bad, you ain't nothing, and all the coin, the roller skate dude, and all. It was Wesley Snipes and the sheepskin, talking trash to Michael. And so I remember the day we lost him. There's a couple of remembrances, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we've already gone long. But my first interaction with Michael Jackson was in 1979 when Mom would take me to Lutheran Parochial School on Brinkerhoff Street in Jersey City. And the first Michael Jackson song that I heard that became my first favorite song was Rock With You off of Off the Wall. And it seems like WBLS would play it every damn day. Every day we get in the car at the same time every day. I want to rock with you. This is my first introduction to Michael. And of course, as the years would progress, I would accumulate more memories. Like in 1982 when Thriller came out, my cousin Gillian had the tape of the Thriller video. And these are the days, millennials, exennials, Gen Z, all you young people, you couldn't just pull it up on your phone. If you didn't have the VHS tape, not the CD,
Betamax.
but the VHS tape, you wasn't going to see it. My cousin Gillian had the tape, and she was making the rounds around the family, bringing the tape, and we finally got to watch it. It was the greatest thing I'd ever seen, 1982, the Thriller video. And then fast forward to 1987 when I saw Bad, and it just changed the game for me. Until 1991, when I heard the greatest Michael Jackson record he ever created, which was Dangerous, which was a combination of rock music, R&B, pop, everything in between. Dangerous will always be, regardless of what anybody else thinks, my favorite Michael Jackson record. Fast forward to when we were losing him, and I remember being on the phone with K-Dub right when we got the news that there was a situation at Neverland, and we found it was Michael, and we had lost him. And I just remember being sick because I had never really processed the celebrity death quite like that. I mean, we lost Tupac, we lost Biggie, we lost others before that, Left Eye, that affected me, but I had never processed a celebrity death quite the way I had processed Michael dying. Like it hurt. I did, Tupac, I was mad. I was angry. And with Biggie, I was sad just because I knew that Biggie wasn't like a thug and he wasn't like the kind of guy who, was in the streets the way that he was, purported to be, so I was sad about that. But with Michael, it was different. It was like legit grief when Michael Jackson died. Like I really, really mourned Michael Jackson's passing, and it was the first celebrity death, probably the only one that I really like mourned. Michael Jackson. Like I remember saying it, like it's Michael Jackson. There are certain people that you go through in your life, and we know the circle of life. Like we know that everything that starts is going to end, and we get all of that. Like we ain't got to discuss that. We know what it is. But then there are certain people, my nana, my mother's mother, my grandma, my father's mother, Michael Jackson and a few others. Like when they went, it was like, oh shit, like death is real. And so I just remember it. And I think about Michael because I know that he was tortured. He was 50. I'll be 50 in 2 years. John's already passed it. And so that's a very clear example of how young he was, the struggle that he had to go through to get an IV to go to sleep. And all of the things that he went through in his life, we can discuss. We don't have the time for it now, but he felt like he needed to have an IV to sleep. Just think about the sadness and depression and the anxiety and all of the things that it goes into living a life where you feel like you need to do that. And as much as we love him, as much as we admire him, as much as we revere him, as much as 12, 13 years after his passing, we still playing his music, we still talking about him, and we still loved him. But he went through all of the plastic surgery and all of the stuff to be happy, to be loved. And he had all the money in the world. He could have done anything. It was Michael Jackson. It was fucking Michael Jackson. And it goes to show you that no matter who you are and what you are and how the world views you, how you view yourself is paramount. It doesn't matter all of those other things. Self-love and self-contentment, all of those things must come from within. As much as we loved him, as much as we say whatever it was we want to say about him, it was very clear to me and most of the world that this was a tortured soul that lacked the kind of happiness that you would think that someone who attained the kind of world-class and worldwide acclaim that he should and probably should have had. And so I speak to you as listeners and as viewers and as fans of Michael and maybe detractors of Michael. Maybe you didn't rock with Michael. Maybe he was a Prince person. Maybe you didn't care for either of them. But this is more about we, us, how we feel about ourselves and how loving you first above all other things has to be paramount, because if you allow yourself to become tortured, if you allow yourself to succumb to the ills of others, you can find yourself in the level of disparity and depression that you may not be able to come back from. And I just loved him so much from 5 years old in 1979 to 35 years old in 2009 to 48 years old in 2022. And I just asked this one question: who's bad? Is it who's bad? Like, that's my homage to Michael Jackson. You know, who's bad? You know what I'm saying? I just love the dude, and I just wish he was still. You know what I'm saying? It's just one thing I'll ask.
Who's bad?
That's my rant. That's the Murr. Marcus's unrelated rant. It's got nothing to do with what we're here talking about tonight. We went way over tonight, but we needed it. We had John, who's been with us the last couple of weeks, Steph, who we lost the last time we were here, but we all together, and it's a wonderful thing. We won't be here next week. It's Labor Day, but the following week we'll be back, and we look to bring you. It'll be plenty to talk about, and hopefully we'll get to a more consistent and normal schedule after that. So I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace, all the stars and all the squares, and the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are words of Bob Marley, who you normally hear singing in the background, but we preempted him tonight. Lastly, authenticity has no competition. This month, we celebrated 11 years, so I'm not saying almost 11 anymore. We officially have been doing internet radio and live podcasting for 11 years. Very proud of that. I'm very proud of the team that we had from day one up to the present. We talked about Grizzy earlier. Grizzy put me on. That's the reason why I call him the inspiration. He is the inspiration of what we do here. I love him. I love John. I love Steph. I love the original 7 and all of the alumni who have come through Legacy Internet Radio, as well as the Den, New Den, and beyond. We're going to be here hopefully for another 11 years. Hopefully, if y'all continue to rock with us. So that is the end of the show. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Peace, y'all. Holla at your family.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this, I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. We on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.